help. That doesn't mean anything, right? So I'm being rough and I'm being tough with these guys because first of all, they're fucking retarded dimwits, right? That's first of all. But second of all, I want to help them. And so I got to be tough and I got to be strong with them. I got to make an impact in this short time that I have to spend with them.
Yeah. How much time are you going to be on here?
Enough for you to ask another question, enough for Meow Meow to drop another everyone tag with this fucking dead-ass Discord server.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Rob, there's literally 11 people in here and there was like 20 in here like 5 minutes ago when you was yapping about some bullshit. So that's probably why everyone left.
Do you have an org account?
Buddy, I am one of the leading mentors in org, okay? So I'm the inventor of mind maxing. You go and actually go to the real org server, the looksmax.org server, you go and ask about me, okay? You'll learn something real quick.
Okay, guys, raise your hand if you want to ask Dr. Rob a question. I might have to drop another ping because everyone's feeling shy.
But you need to write a message in that, and you need to put the link to the stage in that ping.
Dr. Rob, can I ask you a question or are you going to get offended?
I never get offended.
Okay, so actually I can't ask it.
You can ask me any question you want.
Okay, hold on, I'm just dropping another thing. Oh shit, I have block. Okay, never mind. Guys, are you going to raise your hand and ask a question, or are you just going to be little pussies, or what? Okay, thank you, Chum.
Just bring them up. Bring them up.
Chum, come on up here and ask your question, son.
Yo, Dr. Rob.
How's it doing, young man?
Yo, be good. I want to ask you a question. Who do you think you are?
I think I'm your daddy, your mommy, and God to you. Why don't you ask a real question, you little bitch?
I don't know, bro. How did you get to Buddhism? What was your religion before?
It was being a Muslim twink, just like you. Get the fuck out of here. Next question.
Okay, let's get the next speaker up here. We got Oatson.
Hey, Dr. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I just wanna.
Did you ever get that? Did you ever get that thing fixed?
Oh, what thing fixed?
Your mama. Go ahead. What do you want to ask about?
Yeah, I just don't appreciate you being so disrespectful when you're a fat fuck. All right, you're diabetic. You need to calm down.
Oh, what about what I said about your mama? I already got you. When you were sitting there in silence, when you were sitting there in silence saying, what thing? What thing? What thing? Did you all hear that? And I said, his mama, little bitch. All right, let's bring up Tima.
Don't ever speak to him like that again,
Let's bring up Tima. Yeah. Have a cup of tea on me. Let's go to the next question.
All right.
Hi, hello. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, young lady?
I'm doing wonderful. I have a question for you. So I'm a femcel, and I hate men. So how do I fix that?
Are you a lesbian?
No,
if you're a femcel, you should really...
Meow, meow, please be quiet. Please be quiet. This is not your thing.
So
let's go back to the beginning.
So I don't like men. I feel
Tima,
like
why don't you take a breath? Why don't you take a breath, okay? And let's restart from the beginning, okay? So just like you joined first ever, okay? So start at the beginning. First time meeting, first time talking. Go ahead.
Okay. So I want to I need some help from you because I am a femcel and I don't like men. Okay. So I need some advice from you.
Okay.
How do I...
Okay, please wait, all right?
Okay,
are you a lesbian?
Speak, please?
Are you a lesbian?
No, I just said no.
Okay, then you don't hate men. Get this fucking cunt off the stage.
I do hate men,
Get this dumb
bitch.
cunt off the stage.
Holy shit, Dr. Rob, that's a true femcel? What the hell?
No, it's not a true femcel if they're not a lesbian.
Yes,
true
she
femcels
is.
are lesbians. True femcels are lesbians.
No, they're not actually.
Yes, they are.
No, they're
you
not
don't
actually.
hate men
No, they're not.
if you want to be
No,
with a
they're
man.
not.
You don't hate
No,
men
they're
if
not.
you want to be with a man, are you? Well, we'll bring them up again after Poizzle. Come on up, Poizzle.
Well, you've already speak to Poizzle. Okay, hold on.
Well, tell them to raise their hands if they're intelligent. They want to ask a real question.
Hello.
I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years.
Yes, I'm aware. Big fan. So I feel like I've had this problem with looks maxing. I understand you're not like a looks maxer. I feel like this is more your deal.
This is mind maxing. This is I invented mind maxing, and I'm actually one of the leading mentors. I'm one of the leading mentors in the org in Looks Max community as the founder of Mind Maxing. Okay.
Yes, I understand. I've had, different like levels of like attractiveness where I've been more lean. I've had better hair. I've put more effort into like my makeup and stuff, but I don't feel satisfied with myself. And like right now I've definitely like, descended, but I feel like, better about myself, like as a person spiritually, because I'm not allocating all of my mental to, maximizing my looks. I'm like, spending more time thinking about the people I have in my life, the things that I do, even though I think people definitely treat me worse because my looks aren't as good as they could be, but I still am more,
well,
satisfied
it's not just your
with my
looks.
life.
This is what people need to understand. It's not just your looks. It's the power over your own mind, right? So we share our mental environment, right? Is that true or is that not true? What's the first lie they told us, right? Sticks and stones can break you bones, but words can't what?
Hurt you?
That's bullshit. That's total nonsense. Imagine growing up with abusive parents that don't fucking hit you with sticks and stones, but abuse you with words. There's no discussion about that, right? We already fucking understand that because we're not fucking baboons. So think about it this way. We share a mental sphere or a mental structure, a mental environment, right? And so your power over your own mental environment goes out into that environment, right? So if you don't have a response when somebody says you're a fat fuck, like sometimes some little twink English boy comes in and says I'm a fat fuck, but sometimes it's a good-looking young lady in the streets. He says I don't want anything to do with that, and I use my mind power and I say, but you have to have an answer to all of these points. You know what I mean? You need to not answer all internal elements and aspects of your mind. But most people don't have any answers to their own mind. They're so identified with that compulsive stream of thoughts that they're subject
into where it's like I'd say on improving my looks to an entirely unhealthy degree, which would be great if I could like lock in and really work on myself that way, because it would make people, treat me differently, and that would increase my quality of life. But I feel like, the return of interest on that isn't worth it because I'll just be miserable in my head all of the time.
But it's still shallow. You're still talking about shallow fruits. You know what I mean? It's like GMO blackberries, GMO peaches and stuff like. Actually, genetically modified. I think that was all a propaganda scheme, the whole GMO stuff. Because with the GMO, once you start talking about GMO, then you're less talking about the pesticides and shit, which are actually like the chemicals that the food is full of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But genetically modified is just. They just fucking made it a better food so they could spray more fucking chemicals onto it. But this is what I'm trying to tell you, right? This is going to be superficial food. It's just like I was talking about with the young men here. They spend all this time looks maxing. Clavicular. I'm going to be like clavicular. I'm going to ascend. 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 I'm going to ascend it. I'm going to get sendy with everybody. You know what I mean? Think about it this way. Did any of that process help you be a better father? Did any of that process help you be a better mentor? Did any of that process help you deepen your relationship with your internal self? No. And it's not a debate. Yeah. This is the other thing. This is the other problem with social media, where we think that like we are in a free speech zone or like a free debate zone. Look how'd that end up for Charlie Kirk? How about Charlie Kirk? What's Charlie Kirk got to say about Donald Trump's America 250? That's real life. So all this little fiddle-faddle pretend bullshit games that we play about, actually, I've got something different to say. You didn't have something different to say when you were fucking forced to go to school for most of your life and are still being forced to do that and have fucking bullshit shoved into your brain where I respect you, teacher. I respect you, teacher. I won't be too bad. Who said that you wanted
And
to go
like,
to school?
yeah, and we're on these like the social media all these time. These apps have these algorithms that are designed to be addicting. They're gonna show you more attractive people than you would ever see in a daily basis walking around in a city. I don't feel like the human psyche is compatible with this. And it changes your perception of what like a normal baseline is for what a person should look like. So you're holding yourself to these standards that just are incompatible with you and the people around you.
Well, it's the superficiality of modern society.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything meaningful. We don't have any meaningful relationships. So the only little crumbs that we can feed our self and our ego is the little looks that we get from people. Wow, what a pretty lady. And even someone like you with a Portland mentality and a Portland disposition is saying, you know, I need some of that food too. I need some of those elements too. So you imagine what these young ladies and these young men are thinking. They're starving for that attention. They're starving for those likes. They're starving for those winks, right? And it's a gay man's dream. It's a morbidly obese 50-year-old gay man's wet dream. So it's almost an Epsteinification of America, of American society and culture, right? Where everybody is, the children are getting hypersexualized at younger ages, especially through the algorithm, right? And then they want to be more and more attractive. And now it's not just the ladies, right? Because the male pedophiles have been having a field day, but there's only so many gay boys going around, right? But now the gay pedophiles are celebrating in the streets because now all of these young guys, they want to be more attractive. They want to be look like this, and they want to mog other guys. Well, I'll tell you, in every single mogging session that you'll find online, you'll find a gay man behind the scenes masturbating to young boys mogging each other.
Period. Okay, who wants to come up and ask Dr. Rob a question? Can you please raise your hand? Okay, so we have somebody called Bricky _ Okay, come up and ask your question, please. Hurry up. Okay.
Yo, Dr. Rob, what are you staring at, big boy?
Oh, you're weak. You can hear it in your voice how weak you are. So there's no reason to listen to you. Now, a lot of people who are just random people, he's talking out when the teacher's not, he's not supposed to. I wonder what this guy power got. He doesn't have any power. He's a poser.
Yo, Dr. Rob,
this is another prissy boy. Yeah, why don't you get your money up, little prissy boy, okay? Dr. Womp, I put their name, I put the profile picture. Nobody cares. Shut your fucking mouth.
Period.
Alright, so I heard you talking with Quantum about like how he looks. So are you like, honestly, I don't think you're right about that, because you're just dismissing how hard ugly people's life is by just saying that. Have you like, so you're like, do you see how people get treated?
You're confused. It's a belief in advertisements. Wealthy people's lives are very difficult. Attractive people's lives are very difficult. And if the world is unlucky enough for those wealthy, attractive people's lives to not be very difficult, don't worry, they're busy making it difficult for the rest of us. It's not just about you. It's not just about your little peenie, your little wee-wee, and all you see all the pretty ladies around. You want to jerk off. You want to have sex, right? You want to have a sexy time with the pretty ladies, right? Yeah, you want to do that, right? Life and the world is not just about you and your dick and your desires. Do you understand that? There's an ecology, there's an environment, there's a community, right? There's children, there's fathers, there's mothers, there's brothers, there's sisters, there's lands, there's animals, right? So, society has failed you and the algorithm is just pumping you. All these guys are just getting pumped by the algorithm every day. But somehow you have this inflated sense of arrogance and pride and ego about your capacity to think for yourself. And tell me this, Nassar, in what ways do you think for yourself? Give me one original thought that you've ever had. Give me an original thought.
Nothing. Never.
Okay, so then that means that your mind is constantly being manipulated by the algorithm. So you cannot trust your mind. Your mind is just the pedophile's dream. Your mind is the dream of a pedophile. Haven't you heard the stories? Haven't you heard the stories of the New World Order, the reptilians, Donald Trump and Epstein, and the people up top, they're eating babies and things like that? So your mind is a pedophile's dream. And so you have to fight against that mind. You have to fight. I want to have sexy time with a girl, then I want to be hot guy. I want to be hot boy. Well, that's not going to work out. That's not a good idea. Okay, so you have to fight. And if you don't want to fight, you're going to get your ass kicked. And the last thing you want to do is end up like this Dr. Rob and this Brick Chan guy that are just, I don't even care. While I'm fucking ripping through them and fucking boxing them and fucking knocking them out like there's nothing. But they cope, right? They play these little cope games. No, actually, he's just hiding from me. Hiding from what? Hiding from you fucking pissing into your own face and fucking embarrassing yourself and getting bitched by me? You're out of your fucking mind, you little punks. Okay? You want to come up here? You want to mess with a Russian bear, buddy? Huh? These aren't twink muscles, buddy. These are fucking forged in iron, buddy. These are fucking monksels. These are monk muscles, buddy. I'll fucking rip your body apart limb from limb.
What I'm saying is, I have personally in my life, I used to be like I used to be way fatter. I used to be I've seen a lot of change ever since I improved my looks. I got a bit taller. I fixed my body. I got way more respect, way more chances, way more opportunities.
No, this is just, you're just following a script. You're just following the script. What are chances for somebody like you getting an extra piece of candy at the little grocery store down the street? Getting to ride your bike around a little bit more for an extra hour? My mommy said I look pretty now, so I can ride my bike around. You're just following some bullshit script that's been pumped into you by the pedophile reptilians that are controlling the algorithm. You little fucking twat. And if you really want to get turned on, go and become gay. And then you'll make some money too. You'll make some money with that ass, with that fucking OnlyFans ass, you little fucking twink. Get the fuck out of here, Nasser. You're done. Get him out of here, meow meow. Get him out of here, meow meow. Shut him down. Get him out of here.
Shit, I can't even get him out.
Get him out of here as soon as you can. He's an OnlyFans model in the making.
Shit, I can't even kick him. What the hell?
Bro, I am 50.
Get him out of here.
Bro. Oh, dude.
What do you think that means that you're 15?
Okay, Dr. Rob, I feel like you need to calm down. Is that you calming down? Oh, we have a new person who wants to speak. Unicorn Corpse.
Alright, so all I gotta say, Dr. Rob, is I look up to you. You are my king.
Aww.
How do you feel about that, Dr. Rob? I'm honored to be speaking with you.
Get him out of
now.
here. He's a pussy. Get him out of here.
Dr. Rob, that was so cute though.
Yeah, good for him. He's lucky.
Aww.
He's lucky to be looking up to somebody like me. Somebody that can actually guide him and lead him. Show him what a man looks like, what a man feels like, what a man smells
Did
like.
you say, Dr. Rob, are you the alpha male?
Oh, I'm definitely the alpha man here, buddy. I'm definitely the fucking alpha man here. I'll fucking break both of these phones right now. I'll fucking smash these
Hey,
fucking
can you do
phones.
Can you do it?
Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you do it? I'm meow meow. Can you do it? Can you do it? I'm gonna do it, all right. When you and me have a cuppa, then I'm gonna fucking do it.
Go on then. Go on then, pussy.
Go on then, pussy. Go on then. We have a cuppa, eh? We have a cuppa.
Do it, do it.
Do you want to have a cuppa?
Okay, so new person, the goth wants to speak. Come on, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yo, Dr. Rob, I have one question. Why are you such
I've
a
got
bitch?
one
What's your
question.
fault?
I've got one question. I want to ask it to
Dr. Rob,
you.
one second,
I
man.
want to ask one question.
Oh my god, Dr. Rob, you've got some haters. Okay, hold it again, Dr. Rob, DNR me again, kid, alright? See what happens.
All right, so let's bring some new people here, and they can ask their questions.
Dr.
Only
Rob,
intelligent
you're
people.
a grown ass man acting like
Dr.
What the
Rob,
fuck is
you're a
wrong?
grown-ass man acting like.
Buddy, you want to get banned? This is my fucking
Okay,
server, buddy.
guys, can you stop putting your hand up to add some retardedness, because I want some actual like questions. Thank you. We've got a new person called Menas. Hi.
Hello, Dr. Rob. I wanted
Oh,
to
you're not-
say I agree on like your idea of.
Well,
like, people-
first, before
I'd
you
be
you say, right, I want to make it clear this is not a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I agree with your stuff, like people being hyper fixated on looks, like it's everything and shit. But like, what do you recommend people like to do instead? Like,
I recommend
to fix their lives,
I recommend they follow me.
to follow you,
Yeah.
like as in what?
Follow me. Don't you isn't that what our entire culture is about right now? That girl got biggie ass and smell good and taste well. I follow her. Isn't that what we do? Isn't that what we're trained to do? Follow me. Because I'm not going to be shaking my ass. I'm going to be fucking putting you on some real shit time and time and time again. I'm living a real
Yeah,
fucking
put on
life.
some real shit.
I'm live streaming a real
Waiting.
fucking life. I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years. You'd be lucky to follow me.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to be in my fucking course. You better, and that's what these little fucking twinks like Quantum Cloud don't understand. You'd be lucky to fucking be looking up to me, drooling in your fucking face. Oh, Dr. Wow, what's the next thing for me to do? You'd be lucky to be in that fucking position.
Yeah, bro. But like, you didn't answer my question, like, cause you do all these like stages and all.
Get him
that,
out of
but, like,
here.
I don't
Get him
see-
out of here. He's a fake. Get him out of here. Ban him. Ban him from the server. He's fake. All right, next question.
Yo,
He's a loser.
anyone new wanna
He's a
come up?
loser.
Okay,
Losers
can I-
need
can
not
I-
apply.
Dr. Rob, the next time you speak over me, we're going to be having issues, okay? So don't speak over me again, okay?
Go ahead. Let's bring up Quantum
Okay.
Cloud. Let's see what he's probably been looking in his textbook and has a
Okay,
lot of good
anyone
things.
who wants to put their hand up and ask Dr. Rob a question, that would be great. But for now, we're going to have to get this faggot Quantum Cloud for some reason. Is Dr. Rob muted?
I'm right here.
Okay.
I just have one question. What is exactly the thing that benefits us from following you? Like, what do you want us to follow?
I want you to learn how to let go of yourself. And that's what I teach. Get him out of here, meow meow.
Right. Okay.
Let go of the attachment to your idea of yourself.
Dr. Rob, I feel like you're not really answering people's questions.
Well, meow
here.
meow, maybe I'll take my fucking time to a real server where I can do a stage with fucking a lot more people. How about that?
What do you mean? What other servers would actually have you?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe both of the Black Pill official servers. Maybe the fucking official
so you're gonna
org
go to the
server.
enemies.
Maybe
You're
the
gonna go to
official org
enemies.
server.
You're gonna go to the Black Pill who
I
are
don't have any
enemies of Pink
enemies
Pill.
because I'm teaching the truth and I'm trying to help people learn about the truth
Okay,
and
I
get
teach the
connected to
truth as
something
well.
deeper. You don't teach
I teach the
anything,
truth
little
as well.
lady. You don't
Yes, I
teach
do.
anything, little lady.
Yes, I do actually. Yes, I do. I teach the fucking Pink Pill, alright? So watch who you're talking to with disrespect. Okay.
I'll ban all of you. I will shut down this entire server. I will delete this fucking server. Then all you can crawl to your other little Discord spaces to hang out, okay?
DNR kid, DNR.
I'll destroy this server.
I don't think you won't do shit. Like, let's be honest. Okay, let's get the next person up who wants to ask Dr. Rob a question.
Bring up my friend Isra Kirk. She's a smart lady.
Yo, Dr. Rob, I'm speaking, alright? Show some respect. I just want to say
He's
that,
fake. He's a troll. He's a fake troll.
Listen,
He's not being real. He's being
you're
fake.
right.
He's not being real. He's not being
Okay,
real.
Dr. Rob, you can't say that about everybody. We're gonna have no.
Okay, I'm not saying that about everybody. I'm just saying that about the
Yes,
trolls.
you have. You've literally said that about everyone here.
All right, let's go to Pausel. Pausel is a smart Portlander.
I don't know what that means, but
A true pink
thank you.
pillar.
Yeah, period.
What do you think? Obviously, like you don't. Sorry, brain fart. Oh my goodness. Looks aren't the sole determinator of like compatibility. Obviously, because it's something that's going to change and fade with time. It's a temporary thing. So, what do you think are the metrics you should be looking for in a partner for compatibility in the long term? What do you think that are ideal traits, for a woman to look for in a man and for a man to look for in a woman? Because I'm sure that, those would be different things. A man has a different thing to bring to a relationship than a woman.
It's not correct anymore. It's not correct in our kind of society. You need to start looking for the positive traits in yourself that you would like to cultivate. Because most people, especially most young people growing up in America or growing up on an online culture, they do not have the mental stability, the emotional congruency to be able to have a relationship with anybody, and for that to be actually positive and helpful, to raise children, to be contributing members to society, because they don't have a meaningful relationship with themselves, because they don't know what positive mental qualities are. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a society where the very idea of positive mental qualities is open for debate between Andrew Tate and Donald Trump? Because we don't care about that stuff anymore. We don't care about that stuff anymore. And you have to start caring about that. You have to start identifying what positive mental qualities are. What is it like to be kind? What is it like to be happy? What is it like to be at peace? What is it like to be patient? What is it like to be generous? What is it like to have an open mind? What is it like to be curious? What is it like to experience life without biases? Without all these little story yapping going on in our head? Where everything is always minimized to fucking bullshit because it's not a bag of Cheetos. And this is really the unconscious workings of many people's minds here, right? That this has less value of somebody who spent 8 years as a Buddhist monk, who's traveled the world, who knows tons about a bunch of fucking shit that can be very helpful to a lot of young men, a lot of people, right? Is inherently less valuable than $20 or a bag of fucking Cheetos. Or being more attractive, and I wonder what clavicular is saying about the new surgery. And that's the kind of society that we live in. So you can either try to fit into that society, or you can drop out and tune in to your own mind and practice meditation, for example. But it's going to take a lot of challenge, a lot of like you giving space to having your ego challenged to actually be open enough so that you can practice meditation. And you can cut off this constant compulsive stream of bullshit flowing through your fucking head.
What you said you traveled? Can you give me like your favorite country or place that you visited?
Thailand, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Laos, South Korea, Japan, England, Italy, Malaysia, Singapore, India, Nepal, Taiwan, Vietnam, all over the world for years as a Buddhist monk. But our ears are so full of shit that anything that's real doesn't get through that filter. The only thing that gets through that filter is fake shit. And now, in a modern time, we don't even believe in real. And that's kind of manifesting in the outside world as well with AI. What does it mean for somebody to be real? So we would always talk about the grandparents, the old people, right? Well, they don't know what's real. They can't tell a real thing from a fake thing on Facebook. But that's young people now as well. You can't tell a real situation or a real interaction between people from a fake one. Because the only meaningful content or meaningful experiences that you've had in your life for most young people have been fake. Right? Movies and TV and fucking algorithm bullshit. And people who think that they're real, people who think that they're real, but aren't. They haven't gone deep into their mind. They haven't had real life experience. They don't think they're trying to sell you something, but they are. They're trying to sell you believing in them, believing in their bullshit. I'm not trying to get anybody here to believe in anything. I'm not trying to market myself. And that's why I think, some people who otherwise would never listen to something like this are a little bit more receptive and open, because they can see that I'm not trying to sell them anything. And I'm not trying to bullshit them. I'm not trying to get something from them. I'm not trying to force them to be here. But it takes a while to click. It can take forever to click. It can take multiple lifetimes. Like questioning reality. Questioning the nature of our minds. No, you don't have to do that. We know that God is real. I mean, I don't read the Bible. I don't go to church. I don't believe in God, but God is real. I mean, he's not. But American politics. We've got no idea about anything, and yet somehow everything is figured out for us. We don't have to think. We don't have to look deeply. We don't have to think deeply. And now you're actually in front of somebody who has thought very, very deeply, who's pushed themselves to the end of the line of life and death in serious spiritual practice, meditative practice, and is now here to share that freely. But I'm not asking for you guys to treat me in any kind of way. I'm just saying be real. Come up and be real. And these guys who've come up and troll and stuff, yeah, you took a shot and you missed. That's why I'm taking you out. Because I'm not just going to sit here and let everybody watch you throw the ball at the backboard while you're smiling and looking around at everybody and winking at everybody. But that's what we've become. That's what young men have become. They're not even good at trolling. You certainly can't troll me.
Yeah, I feel like it's just become like a competition for like attention.
100%.
Like among everyone, and it's not a conversation. It's just how do I get my 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's bring up Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones is a very smart guy. And Ultra, we'll set up a stage. Let's set up a stage on a real server, Ultra, because this server's pretty dead. All right, what's up, Bones?
Hey, Rob, you happy it's American Independence Day today?
Nobody respects America. Nobody loves America more than me.
I see. All right, that's all I just wanted to ask. I'm gonna go. All right.
It's all these people whining about, no, but this is. You didn't put in the work. You haven't had any meaningful experiences in your life. You didn't train. You didn't develop. You didn't step forth. And now you think you've got everything figured out. Doesn't work that way. And then the only time where you will give space for somebody to teach you or share with you is when they're trying to trick you and manipulate you or make it easy for you. It's not easy to understand the true nature of your mind, of yourself, of who you really are, of your relationship with God if you are a Christian.
Hi.
Yeah, what's your question, Miss Kirk?
I just have a question. It's really kind of dumb, but you know the law of assumption, right?
The law of assumption, that's right.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Is it related to Buddhism? What do you think about it?
Yeah, you drop your expectations. Stop assuming that the world is a certain way. Stop assuming that reality is a certain way. Stop assuming that yourself and somebody else is a certain way. Because really you don't know. It's like people who, here's an example, right? It's people who come across my live stream, because I'm live on YouTube right now. So it's like trailer park people, right? Like could be 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old men that worked at AutoZone, that were mechanics, that, whatever it is. And they see me and they think that my life experience or who I am is something that can fit into their understanding. Well, how is somebody who spent 8 years as a Buddhist monk, or somebody who's had experiences that you know nothing about, how can they fit into your understanding? They can't. But this constant practice of assuming things about other people and about ourselves, right? It makes an ass out of them, and it makes an ass out of me. They don't realize that it's making an ass out of them. But it certainly, they realize it's making an ass out of me, and that makes them feel more superior. So this is the big ego dynamic in the game that's going on for people, is they unconsciously or subconsciously need to feel superior. Because if they didn't feel superior, or if they felt equal, they'd have to listen. Same with if they felt inferior, they'd kind of have to listen. But the Buddhist teaching is that the greatest wrong assumption of all is that there is separation, there are separate selves, right? So that there's a you that exists separate from me. But in awareness, or in our direct experience of seeing or hearing or feeling or being, that separation isn't really there. That separation is just an idea. It's like you as an idea, who you are, is just an idea. It's just a thought. And even the notion of a self, the notion of someone, is just a thought. Saying that tree is just a thought. That tree isn't really that tree, because that tree is not separable from everything else. Just like the earth is not separable from the universe. Just like any thought that you have is not separable from all thoughts that you've ever had, and all thoughts that everyone around you has ever had. So that's why when we don't identify with our thoughts, we don't constantly have this contraction of being identified with our thoughts, because our thoughts don't belong to us, because they couldn't. It's like a thought holding on to something. How could a thought pick something up? So
It can't.
It cannot. It cannot. And a thought, in the same way, a thought cannot be true, nor can a thought be false. Nor can it be not true or not false, because those are also just thoughts.
Well, that was interesting. Thank you for enlightening me on this subject.
Should we do our song? Should we do our song?
Okay, wait. What is it again?
Well, you go first, and then I'll sing the next part.
Okay. My name is Isra Kirk. I'm friend with Dr. Rob the boss and 6-7 Tung Sahut period blood. Your turn.
And I always try to do my best, even when I don't know the rest, because the whole world is here for me and I'm here for it. Everyone together, we're happy and we're free. If only we could stop being mean, then there would be no you and me.
Yes, let's love each other's and yes, that's it, yeah.
Dr. Rob, can you put a shirt on?
Dr. Rob,
Can you get more people in your Discord server?
do you really think that the world can ever really be that like?
KNASR115. If you speak over me again, we're gonna have some serious issues. Okay, kid?
Alright.
Okay. Continue.
Alright, so do you really like this perception of life that you have? It's kind of too like good to be true, because like you will never have you will never see all of these people loving each other. You will never see.
It's just too good to be true. I can't keep my eyes off of you. Nasser, you're so sweet, yes you are. Just me and you would make two. You're a boy growing up. You don't have it all figured out, but I'll help you get there one day. Just go slow and say, no thinking today, no thinking tomorrow, no thinking yesterday, forevermore.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've got a new person here to ask a question. XNJ.
Hey, Dr. Rob, what's up? We actually spoke about this before. I want to find out what was your experience on DMT, like singular breakthroughs, like a singular DMT trip and stuff, because obviously different people react to it differently.
Oh, that stuff's not
I know we
real.
have a lot of psychedelics.
That stuff's not real. You're not your mental position. That stuff's just gonna mess you up more and more.
So it all depends. What if your mental position is good and you try and improve it?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You have a paradigm of good and bad that isn't accurate or true. There's no such thing as good or bad. It's like, is corn good or bad? Let me ask you that. Is corn good or bad?
Subjective.
Okay. Is poop right or wrong?
I don't think it could be right or wrong.
Okay. Is subjectivity or objectivity the most real?
Well, I'd say objectivity is more real than
Well,
subjectivity.
then that's your problem. So it's the emptiness principle. You have too much clasping, too much grasping to your ego, to yourself, to your understanding. And you have to meditate. You have to listen to Buddhist teachers. You're asking me about DMT. I'm telling you, DMT is the last thing that you should be asking about. You should be asking about what's the best Buddhist monk master that you can tell me to listen to that's going to elevate my level of consciousness and fix my problems and help me heal.
Well, I'm already aware it's you, Dr. Rob. But obviously, like, just assume, like,
Are you subscribed on the Monk Life Meditation YouTube channel?
Am I what? Subscribe? Yeah, I am. I very much am.
Okay.
But I was saying, like, assuming you don't know the background of the person, right? If for example, they
No,
are...
but I can see your mind. I can see your mind.
What do you see, Dr. Rob? Shit.
Okay,
I
next
think my
question.
Wi-Fi.
Next question.
No, I didn't hear the part. Say the last bit about the mind.
I don't think he wants to answer.
Oh well. I guess we'll keep it a secret. All right. Well, but I'm saying, what brought you to do?
From the police, like, you can't say that because we're gonna come in, like, you know, we're gonna arrest you and shit, and like that's illegal to say. So they're a lot more sneaky. But that's the thing, is like Europe has basically convinced itself that we're totally not racist. We're actually so progressive that we got to kick out all these barbaric immigrants because they're gonna make our society, like, you know, less socially accepting and progressive, and
But isn't there some
anti-Semitism
truth
is
to
this
that?
important thing and stuff.
Isn't there some truth
Sorry?
to that?
To what?
That you're bringing in, well, first of all, like what you said, you're bringing in a lot of immigrants that have values that are not progressive. And that's, but that isn't absolute. I'm not saying that, because look at what America's becoming, right? So even woke kind of burned out. Now we're not woke anymore, right? That was supposed to be for the long term. But so isn't that partly true, that some of these people that you're bringing in are not open to that progressive mentality that you'll find in a lot of those places?
I mean, there's people who are of different, you know, social politics in, you know, Sweden and Germany, and, you know, these parties have existed and these ideologies exist in the West. But it's also the fact that, like, you know, people will, you know, assimilate. People will, you know, change their opinions and become a part of society.
That's right. That's right. But this is because this was the first thing that came to mind when you were saying that, and I'm not trying to stonewall you.
No, you're good.
Is the, I mean, because I've heard there's this guy Oliver Rivera. Have you seen that guy? That guy's videos?
No.
Well, anyways, he's going around to like Ireland and like Berlin and all these different cities, and he's just showing all these people that have come in from other countries from these impoverished places, and are basically now like homeless on the streets. Maybe they're dealing drugs, or they're doing scams, or they're doing whatever they can to just make money. And that doesn't seem like something that you'd be wanting to bring in as a society.
No, fully. I can explain to you. I'm from Sweden. I can explain the situation. Basically, we took in a bunch of people. We've had waves of immigration from like Iran in the 70s after the revolution. We've taken in large swaths of immigration. It's not been a problem before because we had, robust. I don't know the word in English. Government entities basically that would give you a job. Like we had this government entities called the job. I'm forgetting the word.
Services.
Yeah, like basically, if you arrived in Sweden, you would have within a couple weeks a job and an apartment.
I'd like that.
If you were a Swedish citizen, if you were not, and it's really robust. And so when we took in a bunch of immigrants, we would take them into like integration centers where we'd say, what are you good at? What's your education? Obviously, you come from Iran, you have like incredible doctors and people with, expertise in some of the best universities in the world were in Iran, at the time. Yeah. And so people came and were incredibly educated, but they didn't speak Swedish. So we're like, all right, you're super educated. We need to teach you, Swedish, and we need to obviously. There's some level of culture, There's some level of like cultural sort of integration that's needed. Of like, this is midsummer. This is, and again, it's not so that we can like strip them of their culture, but it's like, Sweden is very culturally hegemonous, and so there is for their own comfort. Like you want them to feel like they can understand society, the context that they are now existing in, right? And so, my point is that we've had waves of immigration. We've integrated people very successfully. I know many Iranians and Kurds and people who have come here who are like, they're on Midsummer dancing, like the Small Frogs dance. Like they're, like the most, what you call like a Svennebanan, like very Swedish kind of punk status.
But so here's the question.
Or even just, the ones
here's
themselves.
the question.
So the problem is now is that we've kind of, sorry, I'll just finish.
Please do. Yeah, please do.
Basically, what's happened now is that since, like I was saying earlier before you jumped in the call, like since the 90s, there's been austerity. We've slashed these programs. The work authority, or whatever it's called, has been completely privatized into oblivion. It's a nightmare. Swedish friends of mine who have grown up in Sweden can't get a job through it. Yeah, we've had the same problem a lot of countries had. Neoliberalism, the institutions, the welfare state has been eroded. And so the same things that cause like young people born in Sweden who like, or can't get a job are the same for people who immigrate here, except added onto that the fact that it's really hard to learn the language, the fact that it's really hard to find a place to live. So, and also when they came in here, in 2015, we had a big refugee influx from Syria. Like we didn't let people work. Like we brought people in. We're like, just take some like government checks. What's that called? Like some welfare checks. Welfare checks. We'll let you live off this for a while. We'll give you some kind of crappy housing. You kind of jam them all into a small space, and that is essentially taking a bunch of people and systemically impoverishing them. Just through the function of how you integrated them, you're systemically making them poor. And then saying, live off this, and we'll get back to you in a few years when all the paperwork is done, because we don't have the resources to like handle all of you at once. And so that breeds crime. And so then like the thing that's happened is we've had a massive explosion in like gang crime. And most of the people, who you see photos of people doing it are, from a outer European background, who have immigrated here. But it's not because they're like inherently violent people. Right. It's because the people who did immigrate from there have been systemically impoverished, and poverty is the factor when it comes to crime, not being from this country or that country or whatever. Right? I mean, otherwise you just believe that certain cultures are inherently violent. Okay. That's always not true.
Okay, but this is the point, right? And there's a selfish thing I want to bring up, but this is the other thing. For the modern, just talking about America, because I don't know that much about Europe, except that, they don't seem that friendly to Americans. I mean, what about the Americans? Why don't they give some European programs for these Americans to get out from under Trump, But anyways, what I'm talking about is from that American disposition, that American perspective, how can we blame these people, these masses, for pointing the fingers at these immigrants with the layers of subtleties of what's going on with neoliberalism and leftism and rightism and all these kinds of things. You know, I mean, because you can't expect American people to become educated to the degree of subtlety of what's going on. They're not interested in that. You know, so it's can we not put a little bit of a pin or a little bit of a mark on this conflict or this unrealistic expectation from the other side to not be looking at all of these immigrants in Iran, or not in Iran, but in Ireland, and saying, look, we got to do something about these people. This is a problem. We need to take care of ourselves. Well, actually, that's not what's going on, you know, but you can't blame them for thinking that. You know, I couldn't blame myself for thinking that, because in a simplistic way, that would seem to make sense, right? It's like, it's why they did Brexit, right? I mean, I guess
that's the struggle that the left faces in Europe and in America to an extent. Is like there's a sense of like it's so easy to just say, look at all these brown people in the news. They're all the ones in the photos when you hear about a shooting. Oh my God, they're so violent. Let's just get them out of here. Like that's a really shapes and colors, like Lego blocks understanding of the situation. Because most people aren't deeply involved in politics, and so the struggle that the left has, because that's just not the truth. That's not going to solve the issue. And it's going to cause a lot of problems in the economy if you kick out hundreds of thousands of people. You know what I mean?
So,
or whatever it is this week, like a million people almost. You know,
the correct version of the left is basically saying that the left and the right in power are both structurally corrupt with something along the lines of capitalism or exploitation or wealth redistribution to the top percent. But how is that ever going to play out with this dynamic of the right versus the left, especially when the left seems to be so fixated, at least the public left, the public facing left, with, you know, trans people and a million genders and things like that? It seems like there's a...
Well, I can answer your question. I think I understand what you're saying. We were talking about it before you got in here a little bit, but you know, the way that you do it, I think it's how Mamdani does it, right? He doesn't throw minorities under the bus and say, oh, you're right, fuck trans people. You say, your landlord is not a trans person. The person raising your rent is not a trans person, or probably not. You know, it's that, or at least that's not the deciding factor.
The phantasm behind the constructive.
The problem is a system of capitalism, is a system where, you know, you have a high concentration of ownership. Not, oh, your neighbor has, again, 3 cars and 2 houses and nice stuff. Doesn't that make you jealous? Let's get them. We cannot allow for a society where the concentration of ownership is so high, where democracy is not able to function, because individuals own entire swaths of infrastructure. They own entire news corporations that can shape opinion in the country. Single individuals can, you know, with the flick of a switch, you know, decide to push ideas. And that's how we got the culture wars, because, you know, billionaires who own the media and corporations who own the media want us to be arguing about gender identity and migration, instead of saying, fuck me, productivity has increased for the last 50 years. Real wages have been stagnant for the last half a century.
So here's another
we've
question.
Had growth. So where's all that growth going? Oh, the rich have gotten richer, right? And so that's where I think we need to put the issue. And so solidarity with immigrants and trans people and stuff, that's not something to disregard, but that comes along for the ride. You go, look, don't bother with these people. Let them piss wherever they want to piss. Let them exist. They're not trying to bother you. It's such a tiny group of people. You know, it's really like a manufactured culture.
It just came up.
Let's worry about wages.
A good political
infrastructure
slogan.
And trains.
A good political slogan just came up for me. Ignore trans people. But I don't think trans people would like that. But this was a question. This is the question I wanted to ask you.
I have trans friends who are like,
I know.
Talk about me.
If the trans people are here, we love them. If they're not here, well, there's no need to think about them and all those surgeries and stuff. But what I'm trying to say, is the question is, how do you bring back, or because Bernie kind of brought one up, right? But how do you bring back this kind of conversation? Because Mamdani is kind of it's a 1 in a million, and the same with AOC and people like that. I mean, these people really can't do anything. as institutionally. So how do you bring up a conversation like that in Trump's America? You know, how does a conversation like that start to come up? Really, you think the DSA is, and the Hasanabi and stuff, with the door-to-door and stuff?
Yeah, I think that the DSA, in terms of what is actually, I mean, and this is the meme, right? Is like, you know, people in their splinter discords being like, oh, you know, my favorite streamer is not sufficiently revolutionary, and they're engaging in counter-revolutionary acts by playing video games on their stream, or Mamdani.
Well, those are the fakest people. Those are the worst people because they're not doing anything.
Yeah,
they're just theorizing and talking about nonsense, and they don't want to be challenged about anything. You know, it's like I've said. If you're that serious about it, then why aren't you doing anything in relationship to that system that works? See, this is one of the things that I've brought up before, and I've gotten into a lot of trouble in bringing this up. But if you think that a communistic or a socialistic community system creates economic and social viability for well-being, why aren't you doing anything like that? Why aren't you attempting to do anything like that? And instead,
I guess you can't individually create communism. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think we have to rebuild. I think we have to rethink and rebuild our community basis to expect the government to then represent community, because it seems like the ideal
exists. I mean,
this ideal of this left and right. Well, not necessarily a commune, because this just it's very technical, right? It's very scientific when you talk about these things. And I think just a commune is not very scientific. But if you're pointing to the government and you're trying to say, as like a DSA, the government is supposed to be our community representation, right? But the right is saying the government is there to dismantle itself, and the left isn't really saying anything except let's just don't worry about it. Let's keep doing what we've been doing. It seems like you need to not just build up a structure of knocking door to door, but you have to build up community structures again that have this kind of it's a little bit absurd, it's a little bit revolutionary, but this very scientific and practical way of using resources together and with one another to actually show the efficacy of that. Because it's like if you're looking to the DSA, you're not going to be able to separate in the political landscape the DSA from the social justice warriors and all that kind of stuff. And you see what it's like when they get their own space. It's just insanity. It's whether it's Occupy Wall Street or the zone that they set up in Seattle. It's just nonsense. It's just garbage. So it's those kinds of structures that I think if there was more attention being given to working those things out, that actually there'd be more possibility of momentum with a broader structural change. Because it seems like these DSA people are trying to tell people about something that really they don't have any experience with. And so they're trying to propagandize to people, but they're never going to be able to compete with the machine of propaganda.
I agree with your perspective, at least to a degree. I think it's a correct analysis. I do also think if you look at, and obviously we live in a different society now, but if you look at a lot of the most successful movements, leftist movements, like, I do think that the Black Panthers had a lot of good strategies, and clearly through, as you're saying, like providing free school lunches and threatening to start opening hospitals and stuff, that was an incredibly effective thing. I mean, obviously a shit ton of them got murdered by the CIA. That should tell you that it was incredibly effective in threatening the system. But I think that these two things do not need to be separate from each other. The DSA is a democratic organization. You can join it and you can, affect it in one direction. I think some level of utilitarianism is needed. Speaking of not being like, ultra, sectarian, like the DSA is full of Marxists and socialists and communists even, and there are some liberals. And I think that, the direction in which it's swaying is, in a more leftward direction. I think if you look at Occupy Wall Street, as you mentioned, and some of these kind of movements, even around Black Lives Matter, a lot of it was totally devoid of any ideological, cohesiveness, right? It was just a reactionary kind of explosion of anger.
I don't think that ideology. I think that the obsession on ideology is flawed, because the human mind is not based on what's actually true or what's actually right. So if the highest endeavor that we're like shooting for, which is what you propositioned, is that we're going to be more politically skillful to propagandize, that just seems to be a part of what's already going on, and that's what they're, you know, the left, the powerful left and the powerful right are already doing. And so with the algorithm and the addiction to consumerism and consumption, you're not just going to make big swaths of changes, certainly not in a revolutionary way in a shorter period of time. So what I've seen with something like Occupy Wall Street, something like Black Lives Matter, these stories come up where money comes in and then the people who were running it or managing run off with the money. But even in the midtime, it was just a bunch of homeless people, it was a bunch of bums, it was a bunch of leftists sitting around and drinking and yelling. And, you know, it's like this idea that there's any relevance to, you know, middle-aged women marching by the tens of thousands saying, we don't like Trump, we don't like Trump, we don't like Trump. And so what I'm saying is, of course, if you're there and if the trans people are there, okay, well, you know, we'll take another look, even though I think lust is not necessarily something to be prideful about or celebrated. But where are the scientific, the structural, the psychological capacities for us to collaborate and communicate with one another in a sophisticated and meaningful and elegant and intricate way to actually do any kind of community action? It seems like that is what is lost, or what has been lost in this CIA revolution. You know, it's a question mark of why was there not another Martin Luther King Jr.? Why was there never another Malcolm X? Why was there never another Black Panthers? So not to get into conspiracy, but it seems that we've maybe lost something in a common speak, or a collective capacity to communicate with one another in a realistic, practical way, where our resources are on the table, which means our bodies and our minds are on the table, to then effectively do revolutionary action. And I think that for me, the DSA is a hopeless talking piece, and it can be effective. But in terms of structural change, which is more what I'd like to see, I think it's such a hopeless kind of mission.
I guess I was a liberal growing up. I was like a Democrat, you know, when I was like 10. As far as anyone was ideological when they're 10, right? But, you know, I grew up in like a liberal home. Oh, Obama won, yay. And that was this sort of background. It wasn't a very active thing. I wasn't politically active, obviously. I wasn't going to marches or anything with my family. But you just believed in like, oh, well, you know, gay marriage is nice and stuff. And because you're a kid and you're not really worried about the world, and you're not really, I wasn't I was just a privileged kid who didn't really have anything that triggered me to have to think deeply politically about anything. But then you grow up and you get a job and you start to experience the economy and stuff. And like, then, you know, you start looking at Bernie and you're like, you know, Bernie's making a lot of good points. You know, healthcare should be free in America. It is in every other country. Why is that not a thing? That's kind of crazy. And, you know, and people say, oh, Bernie's not good enough. But it's like, Bernie was a starting point, a funnel for so many people now who are communists and anarchists and whatever. And I think that, you know, the DSA, like Bernie, like AOC, like any of these people, certainly you can critique them and that's valid. But to say, you know, that the left should completely sort of give them the cold shoulder I think it's unproductive, because it doesn't take a holistic view at like, how do people who, especially in America, who are on the most radical end of things.
I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying that that's what the system is designed to do.
Well,
you know, so it's like there's never going to get a warm shoulder. Like the Democrats and the leftists, these people are not, they're not involved in that way with the society or with the government. You know, it's basically the same party. It's just they're appealing to different elements of the collective consciousness of the society to represent, you know, different corporations or kind of different shallow viewpoints.
I wouldn't say that DSA represents any corporations. I'd say DSA.
Well, no, I'd say the DSA is largely irrelevant. You know, even for somebody like Mondani. I mean, is Mondani the leader? If Mondani was the leader of the DSA, I'd say, hey, wait a minute, what's that about? But I don't think that he really has anything to do with them.
I think to some degree, respectfully, just on that point, I think that in a way, that framing does kind of, fall a victim to the sort of structures that you're talking about breaking, because I don't think the DSA should have a leader. It doesn't have a leader. That's good. It's, community-controlled entity. I don't think that
I don't
should
think
have
we have.
a leader.
I don't
DSA,
think we have the psychological acumen to organize without leadership to that degree. I mean,
that's
my
because
that's my belief
that's what the
about it.
DSA is, and they've just elected a mayor, a socialist mayor, who has spoken. He was quoted Marxists as recently as 1 week ago in his speeches. Communists, right? Who is the leader of the biggest city in the most powerful center of capitalism in the world. Now, yes, the revolution hasn't come, but now that we get back to the dialogue we had earlier about splinter discords, like, we can say the DSA isn't enough, Mamdani isn't enough, but it's like, you're sitting there in your shorts, smoking a doobie without a shirt on, complaining in a Discord to 3 dudes about it.
Well, no, I just don't
creating
understand how did the
change,
DSA how did the DSA elect Mamdani? What did the DSA have to do with it? Is Mamdani a DSA member?
Instrumental. Yeah, he is, and he was incredibly. He was active for
I had
years
no
in
idea.
Palestine marches. Yeah, he was, and so then
he's in the DSA.
They had 100,000 people door knocking in New York, like one of the biggest, I think maybe the biggest ever mass mobilization campaign in history in American democracy.
Yeah,
I mean, this is nothing to chuckle at. I mean, it was a huge mobilization of a shitload of people. Again, everyone from communists.
I also to jump in. I just want to mention. I think the last time we had an effect to I'm talking about Mamdani's whole campaign before he became mayor. I think last time there was something quite I would say influential, was Barack Obama's first campaign. I think if you guys remember, I speak in the sense of the marketing sense of all of it. But yeah, I just want to mention that I think someone mentioned it in an article or something, like the last time we saw something of the effect similar to Mamdani's campaign was Barack Obama's campaign, his first presidential campaign. So yeah.
But even Obama had a lot of corporate sponsors and a lot of kind of like Mamdani was a true people's movement kind of situation. There's no corporations that are now calling in their favors and stuff, and he's going after landlords. Speaking of community, I mean, he's created these tenant, what are they called, tenant hearing assemblies, where basically tenants who are renting from bad landlords, the rental rip-off hearings, that was what they're called. You can go in, and in a democratic capacity, people raise their voices, they give examples of whatever black mold, whatever situations they have, and then they will go down and hunt down those landlords and say, fix these things, or else we're going to do eminent domain upon your properties and seize them, either into the city ownership or overturn them directly to the people who live there, which is, I mean, that is, to me, that is very far outside of sort of democratic, liberal toiling of the corners of the system, sort of establishment stuff. That is really kind of community-based, sort of revolutionary politics, at least as far as the American Overton window is concerned. So yeah, I mean, and then like just a few weeks ago, we just saw 6 or 7 DSA members just win their primaries to become Congress people. Mass mobilization taking place. There's more in August coming up. There's more in November coming up.
A lot of AIPAC members lost, right? Yeah.
A shit ton of AIPAC members lost. Again, and even, like that's, more moderate Democrats, but even like quote unquote progressive Democrats who are still more like J Street Democrats or whatever, or who still take some corporate money. Like, this is the first time that I've ever seen in American history, like a mass political movement that has been successful without any kind of, we just have like friendly billionaires funding us, or nice corporations with smiley logos. Like, this is a truly people-driven movement. And like, yes, of course, there's things you can criticize about the DSA, surely, of course, but that's where I think that it's better to get involved and change it to the direction you think it should go. I think the DSA could easily, do like what Kat Abu-Ghazaleh did. She's on the DSA, but what she did with her campaign, which is use a shit ton of her campaign funds to essentially create like a local community center where they have like, free tampons and jackets, and people can come in and just, hand off stuff that they're not using, and then everyone can go there and, get free food and get free things. You know, I think that could easily be done by the DSA. That's a good platform to start it on. But I think a big problem for the left, I'll end on this, a big problem for the left is them seeing a movement and saying, I disagree with some parts of that movement, even though we ideologically exist on the same basis. I'm going to start my own movement instead of joining it and saying that, you know what, most of these are very democratically organized, you know. I'm going to join it and I'm going to talk to people there. It's like, that is the basis of leftism, right? Is talking to the people on your left and on your right and saying, God damn, couldn't we make this better? And using the power of numbers to shift things in a direction that a democratic majority think would be better, right? I mean, it's democracy, right? So
that's a lot. That gives me a lot more hope.
Yeah, I think you should feel hopeful. Like I am. Obviously, there's reasons to not be hopeful. There's horrible things happening in the world and in America, but I think that leftists, you know, speaking of problems on the left, like a huge problem on the left is that it's become like a doom and gloom circle jerk about how terrible things are, which is, again, I need to say, it's a very understandable thing to say, to think. But at the same time, I think it's only destructive to our own movement to disregard glimmers of hope and to say, well, they're not there yet. It's like, of course they're not. No one's ever gotten there yet in the history of America, you know. But I don't think anyone's gotten as far as the DSA has gotten, and so that is like very cool to see. Even if there's plenty of highway left on that sort of journey, right?
Well, Mondami is the proof. Right?
Yeah, we cannot disregard how huge it is. That like a communist quoting socialist who speaks openly about openly about disliking capitalism. He literally said it after he won. Like, I do not like capitalism. I'm very critical of capitalism.
The dude has great optics as well.
He has great optics.
Yeah,
he's not like an Sorry, yeah. No, he's not an impulse-centered character. Like, I think very much like that whole 2010s era is a very liberal thing because it wasn't really based in like a cohesive worldview. It was very angry. It was very emotional. Again, like, I agree with where they came from. No, I'm talking about the kind of blue-haired social justice thing that you were saying earlier. Like,
no, that stuff
I
is
think that
not real.
It was a liberal.
Well, I want to share. I want to share with you.
Intersectional, right?
I wanted to share with you about that because I have an interesting idea about that. So structurally, with the isms, we moved from the tribalism, right? We're all white, or we're all brown, or we all live here, right? Then we moved to the racism, right, for the men. So that was a black man, but he was also a man, so he could vote, right? Then we moved to the sexism, right? And then we moved to like different dynamics of, it's almost like we got stuck at sexism. And for me, I think we're probably never going to get there, but in terms of morality and like working with discrimination and things like that, we actually have to move to childism. Because we don't think about childism, but we think very well about like ableism, right, and speciesism, and then environmentalism. So my perspective is that unless we deal with the children problem, the children situation, then we're never really going to get there.
You mean like disregarding?
Well, it's the idea.
Treating kids badly.
Yeah, well, so childism is the idea. It's basically racism or sexism, but for children. It's ableism, but for children. And so that's basically.
What would you think? Sorry, just to help me understand, what would you say is like an example of childism in society that's like prevalent and that is?
Well, it's very. So this is where it gets to subtleties and it gets to prejudgments and that are prejudices. So it's like, why shouldn't we kill animals? Right? Why don't we have a right? Why should people with disabilities have a right to like navigate their own care or have a right to live or with their varying abilities? And so with children, it's very, very interesting, but it's so subtle and it's so deep in our culture and our society, and now we kind of have this higher view of what our society does because we've already worked with like black people and men and women and now the gay people and stuff. And so when you talk about children, you're going to this layer of subtlety that's a little bit overwhelming. But it's an example would be like when you have a child that they take your child. Parents take their child to like the family house, and now you've got like their uncle or their grandparents, and the child doesn't want to hug them, right? But then the parents are trying to manipulate that child and saying go and hug that person, right? So it's teaching the child they don't have control over their own bodies. And another way to look at this, and there's a whole list of that. There's a whole list of that. It's very real. It's very real work that can be done there. But the interesting thing is about prejudgments allow abuses to happen. So the way that human psychology works is like why, in some ways, right? Why would it be okay to lynch a black boy or a black man? Well, not just because they did something wrong, but because they're black, they're less than. And so that prejudgment gives us a right to abuse them or to exploit them. So like with all this pedophilia in the world and also in America, right? It's also based on a prejudgment about children being less than. So there's a justification that allows that abuse or that exploitation to take place, because we wouldn't do that otherwise if we felt that they were equal. In some sense. So that's
for sure. I think that it all has to come from an intersectional understanding of like bigotry, right? Where like the reason that these forms of oppression and bigotry exist are, due to capitalism. I think that kind of sounds a bit sort of, repetitive, but that's kind of what necessitates the splintering of societies, right? Is to create some semblance of, well, why the fuck do I have all these problems in society? Like, well, it could be because of this group of people or that group of people, and pitting groups of people against each other.
But that's a political disaster. The capitalism thing is a political disaster. So I guess you have to go through that, but in terms of...
if you're asking, I mean, I think there's two dialogues I think that Marxists have or leftists have or whatever you want to identify as, which is like addressing and identifying and diagnosing what is the actual issue, and there's a communications dialogue, which is we obviously can't say, don't you know, silly, it's about intersectional feminism and it's about the capitalist system and it's about blah blah blah. It's like, because people are obviously gonna fall asleep and they're gonna be like, oh, this person's a crazy radical and they're boring and that's so complicated sounding, my brain hurts, and they want to go away. So you need to basically, this is where I think that Mamdani has a great messaging discipline, where he's like, again, a radical focus on what people can touch and feel in their daily lives, making their material conditions better, and saying, let's not, spend a bunch of resources and effort chasing down, brown people or gay people or whatever group of people that are the only groups of people in society with less power and rights than you. Punching down on the only subgroups that have even less power than you. Where we should all be coming together and using our power in numbers to punch up, Again, not individuals, right? We're in the majority report, the Discord, I'll quote Michael Jamal Brooks, which is be kind to individuals and be ruthless to systems, right? It's a system of capitalism, not the capitalists themselves. That's why Luigi shooting that healthcare thing didn't do anything, because he just got his ass replaced by some other dick.
How can you be, especially with our current system of education, our current cultural system, right? How can you be kind to individuals when they basically are inseparable from this system? Now, in terms of capitalism or economics, that's one thing, but in terms of ignorance, in terms of morality, right, where you're dealing with a lot of people, you're having a lot of people come in, and these people are just expressions of this system of deep ignorance and attachment and biases and aggression. So how do you respond to something like that? Because I respect, this is the revolutionary dynamic that I respect. I think that Occupy Wall Street was a really good idea. It just was not done well. It's same with Black Lives Matter, Black Panthers, all those kinds of things.
It was not ideologically cohesive. The Black Panthers were ideologically cohesive. It's just that they kept fucking killing everyone who was in charge of it. And a big way that they were able to undermine the Black Panthers is because the Black Panthers forced government to start providing the things that the Black Panthers were providing, because they were forced to compete with them, basically.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, fuck, we better start giving us.
Well, that's
lunch,
what I
so
was
start
talking.
Maybe giving black people some
Yeah.
rights or something, because they're building their own shit and it's good and people like it and it's making them not.
That's
racist.
what I was talking
So we need
about
to-
before with
Yeah.
the you know, DSA or whoever it is, you know, creating those kind of dynamics and those spaces that have this viability, because you can't minimize the power that a person can have. But it seems like we don't value people as much until they're already in power or they're already who we want them to be. You know, like now everybody values somebody like Mandami, but it doesn't seem like we create a lot of spaces where there's a possibility of the cream rising to the top, and that, like, because a lot of people need that revolutionary energy to step into it. And there's a lot more people that might bring a lot of value that could step into it if that revolutionary element was there. But when you're just putting people through these board meetings,
I think people are already. I mean, the big thing. I'm in Sweden, right? The big thing in Sweden right now is there's a big dialogue going on about shortening the work week. I think it's a very exciting thing, because the notion that you could lower the work week to 35 hours a week or 32 hours a week, right? Let's say we cut off Friday, or everyone goes home at 3 or 2 or whatever. How many years of your life will you get back that you do not have to sell to your boss to afford rent, to afford a vacation, to enjoy your hobbies, to have some beers with your mates, whatever it is that you enjoy doing? How many in total years of your life will you get back in your own agency? Because again, we don't, you know, this whole thing of 8 hours, like, oh, 8 hours sleep, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours work. Well, you don't teleport to work. You drive to work, or you take the train to work. It takes you 30 minutes to an hour to get to work and back. So it's already not this kind of perfect triangle of time division, and most people don't sleep enough because they are anxious about going to work the next day, and so they sleep for like 4 or 6 hours and they stay up, whatever, right? And then we're also spending most of our free time scrolling on TikTok, so our free time has lost a bunch of its value because we're just essentially that's been colonized by exactly, that's been colonized by tech capitalists. They've colonized our free time to make their algorithms more valuable. So that's kind of also been chipped away at. So I think that to me is a really, really huge reform. And my point with all that is to say, everyone who sells their labor for a wage, that is a true class dynamic. That is the working class. Everyone who has to work to afford to be alive, which is 99% of us or more, that is the working class. We all have this in common. So let's all, improve the quality of our lives along those lines.
I think we need to.
That is the unifying line. And you were saying earlier about how do I have tolerance towards someone who has bigoted opinions or has opinions like is like a Trump person or whatever. It's like, I think you're seeing this with these DSA candidates who are winning Trump districts. It's like, because he lied, but he spoke about egg prices. He spoke about things that people really deal with, I think that is I'm relentless about it. But that is. Politics is about power and who has it. And right now, people who have power are fucking oligarchs, multi-billionaires, these fucking lizard people who are, on spending all their time on the fucking Epstein Island and God knows where, doing absolutely godless activities. Like, clearly we need a mass redistribution, not of like wealth, but of ownership.
How about we start with a DSA cafe? Because that's what I'm saying is I think that we need off roads, and the fact that there's not anything like that, like what about a 24/7 DSA cafe? But we need off roads from being working class, right? That's one thing we need as intellectuals. But that doesn't work for a lot of people, right? And also that's a privileged perspective as well, because there's all these other people that also need these spaces because they can't work. Mental health issues, physical health issues, whatever. And there's no spaces for people really to be able to step out of this this prison scheme right? And form these community dynamics where this deep thinking and this deep collaborative work can take place. So that's why I look to somebody like Hassan Piker as well. And I think that what Hassan's doing is great, and he's a Chad, he's the socialist king of the world or whatever, and all that stuff's great. And I wish I was him, right? But imagine if we had the social technology and Hassan Piker had the capacity and the ability to organize and facilitate the redistribution of wealth among his community and also from himself to create 24/7 third spaces that could be, that we could come together, we could collaborate, we could do these movements, we could talk about these things and develop our thoughts, because that seems to be something that has always worked. It's like why did the government kill Martin Luther King? Why did the government kill?
I think it's important to say though. First of all, that is to my mind, Mamdani permanently funding public parks and libraries. That is establishing and safeguarding third spaces where people can organize. Where I don't think that a guy who's like a multimillionaire in Los Angeles, who's I think donates most of his money to like Palestine causes and to other DSA candidates, and like I know Daria Lisa Chevalier, like the amount of votes that she won by was estimated to be almost exactly the amount of people who were phone banged, who called in or who were called by these phone banking initiatives, which Hassan like directed his audience to go and participate in. So like his contribution to that particular election.
Well, I'm not, but I want to clarify. I'm not saying that that this would be better. I'm looking at
I know. I'm just illustrating. Like I think in a weird way, it's like
nobody wants Hassanabadi. Nobody wants to be Hassanabadi more than me.
Yeah.
So I think we can both agree on that.
I just mean it in like. I just think that like looking to great men or great people, right? Like this whole great man theory of like we should look towards strong, lovely, fantastic leaders who can. It's like we can all just fucking hook arms. Like again, the point of sort of leftist ideology, whether you're an anarchist or a communist or whatever you are, a syndicalist, is power through numbers. I mean, there's this whole Bernie thing that I love where he's like, I'm no mathematician, but I'm pretty sure 99 is a whole lot bigger of a number than 1. And it's like, yes, that is the point. There's a shitload of us, and there's a few of them.
There's 200 people that have keys.
There's 200 people
has not even one key.
1% of the 2%, and like the whole point is there's a shitload of us. Like, if you want like a community cafe that's open 20%, organize that and do that. You can do it through the DSA
for free. For free. And people can sleep there too. Like people can sleep there too. And so what I'm saying, is I question if we have the communal psychological technology to be able to do that kind of stuff. That's what I question.
I think that all the big gains materially that have been brought, to the working class, which I use in the Marxist phrase, as I said earlier, 99% of people, most people in society, the reason that a middle class exists and ever did exist as strongly as it once did, it is less so now, is due to organized labor coming together under a general ideological banner with some wiggle room, but under an idea that power should be redistributed from the owning class to those who produce that value, and to others, obviously disabled people, and those people can, again, join on the ride. Society flourishes when they have safety and material security. That is, in terms of history, the best societies that we have seen come into reality. I mean, we can talk all day about anarcho, solar punk communism. There's that meme now, what's it called? Fully automated luxury communism, right? It's like, I love these conversations. They're very interesting. I'm not trying to disparage them. But I'm also saying that in terms of what we've measurably seen, it's not through like 24/7 free cafes with like super vegan lattes where everyone gets to have carrots for free that like the revolution has been born. It's been through organizing people and centralizing the power of the masses under some level of like an ideological umbrella where you can exercise those masses, such as they were done in the election of Mamdani, in the election of these recent DSA candidates. and then using that power. I mean, I think, using the power of government, it's not the end all be all, but if you can get people who are in your tent ideologically in government and use the existing levers of power to shift things in your favor, in your direction, maybe there can be a subsidy for, communist 24/7 cafes or whatever. Like, again, using all available resources. And like I said, that's a great idea. You wanted to do a cafe? That's awesome.
Well, no, I think that this, I have to call you out on this. I have to call you out because I think this is a very privileged worldview that you're espousing from. There is need out there. Sure. There is need out there of people who cannot work. And I would say in American society, way back when with, was it Nixon or who was the actor? Was it Nixon? Was Richard Nixon? Reagan was the actor, right? It's an economy that's been built on leverage for a long, long time. And it's not an economy that's built on labor. It's certainly not an economy that's built on labor now, right? And so in that kind of economy, there's a lot more people with need, whether that's mental need, physical need, social need, especially the lower class people, right? So that's homeless people, that's children, that's people with disabilities. Then we start talking about animals in the environment. But so, and that privilege as well is kind of what I think is maybe coming up, because if you were to do something like that, it would be a hellstorm. There would be nothing fancy about it. There'd be nothing nice about it. If you said to people, this is a 24/7 third space that's open for everybody to come and take refuge, right? To get access to resources, to be supported, to collaborate. And this is exactly what's happened with things like Occupy Wall Street. So it's great that there's one mayor, but the U.S. is a lot bigger than New York, And most of the people who are actually in dire need are not going to be directly affected by someone who has to give so much focus to this upper 50% of people or upper 60%, the voting population. So I like Mamdani too. But so this is what I'm talking about, this psychosocial technology to actually be able to rebuild community structures in a post-scarcity and more post-labor and even post-willingness to do labor society. That's the kind of space that I'm talking about, which is more like a refugee camp. More like a refugee camp for the American disaster, the American nightmare that is most people's lives.
I guess what I'm trying to say, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, again, if you look at the labor movements throughout Europe and even in America to an extent with FDR and stuff like that, the societies that we have seen in the industrialized societies of history and even before then were ones of extreme inequality, of like a lack of access to healthcare. And obviously healthcare medicine has, developed regardless, right? But the access to that has been incredibly democratized since these social democracies. Again, I don't think social democracy is the end all be all, but these societies that were constructed, like I said, not through these kind of, oh, you'll do a cafe and I'll do these things and we'll have like these kind of, again, like it's the same thing for like I think that putting band-aids on the system is great and that's lovely, but I think that changing society and who has power in society is the center of the conversation that I'm interested in. And those movements were not led by kind of these decentralized, again, that was the problem with Occupy Wall Street and Black Lives Matter. They were very decentralized, devoid of some sort of ideological cohesion. Just in terms of just having a centralized idea.
You're giving too much value to ideological cohesion as a social value in a country like America. I'm just saying that Americans don't believe in that. And they don't care about that. I don't mean ideological, like being a Marxist, certainly most voting Americans.
I just mean that these ideas were centered around a legitimate and totally righteous anger and an emotion, and that was totally fine. Sadly, though, they were not centered around an idea of what is to come after. There were plenty of ideas. There were lots of great ideas. There were movements within these movements that were great, but there were also just a lot of angry, distressed people who were understandably just going down the street smashing shit.
It's like talking
about, sadly, it didn't lead to anything.
It's like bringing feminism to the Congo. It's like bringing feminism to the Congo.
Organize. That's my point. There needs to be organization.
I agree. You need to organize.
This energy is...
Dude, you don't understand.
And in order to organize, you need ideology. You need an idea. I'm saying you and I can create a new ideology called loveism, where we just love everyone and everyone should have a loving society. I'm not saying that we should embrace a dogma. Of course not. I don't believe in dogmatism. I just believe in having an ideological cohesion. Again, a cohesion of ideas, not a dogmatic framework in which we must rigidly operate. You know.
Well, this is what I'm saying, is that cohesion of ideas, with that cohesion of ideas, when it's not built on experienced, practical principles and practices that have been applied and have been shown to work, you're always going to be feeding into the same system that you're trying to defeat. And if your goal, well, we're not in 1949 anymore.
They were a bunch of peasants. And
we're not in 1949 anymore. I can tell you that. And the Bolsheviks didn't have internet, and they didn't have children growing up on the algorithm. So what I'm trying to say is
what you said is like
that
they
goal,
didn't have the experience.
That goal of victory is where you get your problem, or where you get your issue, I think. Because for me, from where I sit, it's one thing to get a socialist DSA mayor of New York City. It's a whole other thing to actually shift the dynamics of who's running the society and who's actually in control, when you basically have one party and now you're trying to bring up another party.
What's your alternative? What's your alternative solution?
Yes,
well, no, I'm not saying it's not a this or that, right? I'm saying that there's other things that can be incorporated into it that are maybe more revolutionary, but also more practical and more applicable in our own lives.
DSA is a democratically structured organization. I do strongly implore you to join it and to affect it, because that is how democracy works.
What I'm saying is that when you're
socialism is based on democracy, and you should join it. And I think your ideas, you have many good ideas. You should.
Well, this is what I want to say. This is what I want to say.
Start your own movement.
When you're creating this or that dynamic in this world, in America, you're always going to lose. Huh? If it has to be this or that, there's a functional problem in this dualistic choice.
Lay down a chalk outline of yourselves.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't claim to have all the answers and know what the solution is, but all I do know is that we've never seen, like I was saying earlier, a mass movement that is devoid of corporate backing, even, like I said, friendly billionaires and friendly corporations, like a fully people-driven movement that is driven by their own interests in a democratic, bottom-up organization like the DSA, where a popular candidate who was completely unknown, like 9 months before he was elected as a Democratic nominee, and then 3 months later as the
well, I get it. Look, I don't want to keep hearing about the Mandami script. I like Mandami. I like Hasanabi. I'm on the team. I want to be in the DSA, right? But what I'm trying to say is that there seems to be a kind of privileged, superficial veil through which
you just want to kill people. Is
what?
That your thing?
What are you talking about? Kill people?
Well, what are you talking? Like, what else do we do? Are you high? No, I am high, but that's not.
No, Shiny. Well, I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say, right?
What else do we do? What is your other option here?
I'm trying to say that there's this, like, the performance, the political performance of Mandami is not the solution to America's crisis. And that it's a great idea. It looks great. It sounds great. I'm sure it's going to help people, but I think there's something deeper in American society and American culture, on the left and the right, psychologically, sure, economically as well. But this idea that being better off economically or having more access to basic resources is going to fix everything in a place like America, I just don't think that that's true. I think that the layers
in order to unlock
greed,
people's consciousness to other ideas, in order to make people open-minded.
Exactly. When you're doing
why is it that all the anti-Trump people who are super racist are
about trans kids? When you're doing well, you have money, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You don't care about that stuff.
Yes, exactly. All the socially conscious liberals who have their Connecticut McMansions, who have the free time and the privilege to engage in social politics and understanding, which is a lovely thing to do. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it requires some level of privilege. The reason why a lot of these bigoted, like you say, kind of closed-minded people who aren't willing to open up their minds and their perspectives is because because they're fucking got their ass cheeks up against the wall in debt, in fucking medical debt, in stress, and not being able to pay any rent. And then you have Fox News blasting in their ears, speaking about the concentration of ownership, billionaires funneling propaganda into their ears. It's on at every gas station, every corner in their society, constantly, like this Orwellian fever dream, shouting at them about how it's immigrants and it's brown people. And immigrants are a brilliant target. I mean, not in a complimentary way. I just mean it in like, they're visually distinct people. They're easy visual, just, snap. Oh, okay, yes, those people, they look different. I can't talk to them. They don't speak the same language as me. I'm angry. I'm already emotional because I'm under this constant background pressure. And so I don't think it's a good idea to underestimate the revolutionary the gunpowder of taking away some of that constant background. It's like when you get a tooth pulled that like was giving you problems. You're like, oh wow, I don't have a headache every afternoon anymore. Oh my god, my head is clear. I can think. I think that it's a huge deal to alleviate people's material and economic stresses. That is how you get people to lean back in the chair a bit and exhale and go, holy shit, hey, how the hell are people around me doing? Hey, how are people, how am I feeling? I'll go to therapy or whatever.
I think you misunderstand the basis of the basis of American culture, which is greed and war. And this greed.
That's the basis of capitalism.
Well, America is the king of capitalism, isn't it? So this greed and this warmongering, psychologically, socially, it needs to find an outlet.
If they're doing well, then they're gonna. I'm just saying it is kind of greedy. The basis of it is greedy. What I'm saying, at least, is people care about themselves. So when they're doing well, then they have the time to. They're not fucking wound up like a fucking madman. Trying to pay the bills every fucking month, right? It is kind of greedy, right?
Exactly.
Basis of American
if people care about themselves, then they make their lives better.
They can, exactly.
No, 100%.
Make their lives better.
100%.
Yes, we live in a very individualist society in the United States, especially.
Yeah,
and as someone who has worked with
a sewer socialist approach.
Yeah, someone who works with the deaf community, someone who's Native. Our background is very collectivist because we've known for the longest time that's what works. And the United States loves to break collectives apart. So the building of community, which has been like the big, I'm just assessing from what this conversation has become. It's the building of community, having spaces, having people not hate children. Because the hatred of children is one of the biggest tunnels of it. There are communities who go to we want to become a small town. And we hate kids. We hate the youth. They will go and make measures to remove children's spaces, youth spaces, teen spaces. And then they wonder why all the teenagers move out of this little town instead of retaining it and improving it as they all squander and die off, killing off that small town. It is very much becoming the elephant graveyards and the whale graveyards of what is especially white American culture that relies on an anti-collectivist mindset. It relies so much on that.
This is the thing, DeLeo. This is what I brought that up. I think that what happened was there was a lack of technology, basically psychosocial technology, as we reached this bridge of what's after sexism, what's after we can be gay and we can do whatever we want, right? And it didn't take that bridge point to childism, and so it kind of just reinverted upon itself. Because when I hear you talking about that, it's a very strong and deep challenge and counterpoint to this hyper commercial version of materialistic success that's going to fix everybody's problems. But I would say that America's problem doesn't have anything to do with money. It has to do with a collective psychological problem that leads to electing somebody like Trump, that leads to allowing there to be a acceptability of Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, and them sitting on a debate stage talking about nonsense, like people in an old folks home or something. And so this idea of fudge pickle that you're bringing up, and I guess that the DSA is bringing up, this, we're going to come forward with a straight ideology, we're going to knock on doors, we're going to tell people what it is, that first of all, that most Americans in most American places don't even believe in that kind of stuff, and they're not going to open up the door. But that, second of all, the most important element of it is that you don't have the experience to back up that what you're representing actually works for the needs that people actually have, which are psychosocial, psychological needs more than anything else.
Okay, hold on. I jump in here. I have something to say. I hear
Please do.
Like I hear the parts you're saying, but like you said, the problem is not at all money. Yes, that's definitely part of the problem. I can accept kind of what you're saying, sure, but money, the economy is still part of the problem.
This is why I've always been a big gay advocate.
No, that doesn't matter.
This is why I've always been a gay advocate. But for the people at the bottom that we disregard and don't care about, like children, so we don't care about American education, right? It's a total fucking toilet shit. We don't care about that shit at all. While China and India are fucking training up doctors, millions of doctors every single day. Americans don't care at all, right? We don't care about people with disabilities. These people are farmed out with a money tag to private equity, capitalist firms. You don't hear anybody talking about that. Mondani's not talking about group homes, is he? And you look at these groups and these hubs of our cities, our American cities with these drug addicts. Nobody cares. The best thing that we can figure out to do is give them needles and stuff. And those problems have nothing to do with a lack of money. Just like America doesn't have any kind of lack of money. So I would say that one of these problems is positioning this lack of money as being real. Because collectively, there is no lack of money. It's just a false premise that's being presented to people.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, like, Americans.
Dr. The Fudge, I need you to respect me here. I'm going to step in there. Yeah. The poorest counties in the United States are on Native American reservation lands. This is the highest rate of unemployment. This is the highest rate of suicide rates. This is the highest for lowest ages for death, youngest age for death. These are areas where we have been pushed and pushed and pushed into poverty, pushed into doing all this stuff. And we have been trying to fight on our own terms, keeping with the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. This also includes forcing again and again with Trump that make sure that, hey, we're not in the states. We're underneath federal. We're underneath the executive. We had to fight again for health this year. And through our healthcare systems, and here in California, we support a holistic approach to community because it is culture as medicine is the mindset. So we do provide child services. We do provide child care services. We provide elderly care services. We address disability. Hell, some of our specialties includes addressing type 2 diabetes, a white man's disease brought upon everyone else in the world.
Beautiful.
On top of that, we are addressing, we sometimes provide the best care for Medicare. Because there are some doctors in Medicare that I even have experience, and then other people have experience, are complete assholes to their patients. Now, you're talking about having welfare houses. We do have a friendship house up into the East Bay, San Francisco Bay Area, that does provide such similar care. Because again, we Native folk have learned how to address these things. We don't necessarily have all the funding, especially after the grants being cut. Yes, money is a huge issue, because we need to make sure that those who get services from us, regardless of their wealth status, get it. And it's normally the folks who've always been impacted, who've always been the lower rung. Once they have money and once they have community, they have belonging. That's why because what I also do is I organize cultural activities, arts and crafts days for college students as well as for nonprofits. Part of it is for student retention at colleges, because you need to have those areas, like you're saying, a community place, a space for 24/7. That is true. You need to have that space, but also you need to make sure that they feel that they're there. And yes, these services are usually provided free, because I'm not going to expect a college student to pay $90 for, let's just say, a 4-week program that they're going to make something. Sometimes we even provide, we typically provide food, because a lot of it is making sure community is being fed. You are there. You are welcome. You are part. You then meet people, just like with the DSA. You are going to meet people. You're going to strategize. You're going to socialize. These are people you can then form further community with outside and inside the space. They have that space to meet. For the DSA and with Mamdani, I see it as an opportunity to find a model that can work for large cities, and then you are also in the process training folks under that administration who can either go for and maybe take after Mamdani, or they can then take what they're given and they're going to apply it throughout New York or the greater metropolitan area, which is helpful. I honestly wish that my mayor, which is Matt Mahan, fuck him, because he hasn't done jack fucking shit. He is very much a tech nobody. I mentioned earlier in this call that he was roommates with Mark Zuckerberg. I have also had to deal with folks who've known Peter Thiel and were teaching Elon Musk. These folks who go to Berkeley or go to Stanford and they go into tech and they think they're all good in leadership and they think they're leadership. No, they're a bunch of idiots who got it because Stanford and Berkeley, they're brand recognized names, and these folks don't even know how to write code. So when it comes to us who work with the poor, work with the impoverished, they need money, they need the time of leisure, and they need to know that they can go to a space where, yes, kids feel safe, and kids, and I know you've been for childism, kids have agency, they're able to express boundaries. We need to make sure that they get that language at a young age, because those are survival tools that they can benefit from. So, thank you for letting me say that, just because y'all are talking to each other and you need to address that greater issue, which, y'all have good points.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, going, hold on, Skinny. I just want to say this real quick. It's constantly going into this or that thing when it needs to be a collaborative effort.
Hold on there, Skinny.
It needs to be a collaborative effort where we're sharing idea, we're creating a space. So it's like you said, those people need money, but they need money and they need a space where they can form community, where somebody can be grounded, embodied enough, peaceful enough, compassionate enough, have technology in their mind enough to be able to hold that space enough where that person knows I could either go and use and be on the streets with the drug addicts and the drug dealers and or I could be with the community. I could be in a space where I know that I'm safe, where I'm not going to be judged. And also, this is one of those difficult elements to bring up because it applies to children too. They do need to be challenged. We do need to be able to be strong. But if we don't have a collective mutual understanding with one another, then we can't play these different roles of roughness and toughness and realness and craziness and wildness and then say, you know what? That's just life. Let go. There's all these different elements that need to go into it. It's not just panhandling or powder caking everybody. You have to be willing to be challenged and not just go into, well, no, because this is that or this is better. Because I know that I've been through that so many times.
I agree with you, but hold on. My main contention with what you've been saying is you keep saying totally disregard the economic part of this. If you're saying let's do both of them, I agree with you. Yes, I agree totally. But you keep saying
the economic part. I'll explain it. The economic part is the devil's need or something like that. It's a basic need, right? It's a foundational need. But the technology that money goes into is much more needs much more time and investment and collaboration and focus on than that money. There's plenty of fucking money to go around. There's more than enough money, and most of it gets wasted because it doesn't go into a basis of communal technology where we know how to use that money from a place of contentment and a place of not just thinking that money can solve the problems. Because clearly, if money could solve the problems, America would be the best that it's ever been.
And I agree. It's not going to be the best.
I think if you look at, not because we're Mamdani, but just to get it back to him, one of the first things he did is he canceled all of the city contracts with McKinsey, with these like not think tanks, with these I don't know the English word for it, like utredningstjänst. I don't know what it's called in English, but like you basically work with these private firms who will look into policy and create policy for you.
This
so you pay
is
them to do policy.
This is oligarchy.
So,
this is patriarchy. This is performative community, and it's good and it's needed, right? But what people on the ground need, what people with disabilities need, what children need is not that. That is not going to fulfill the needs that these people have.
Because that was kind of what I was getting to. Yeah. What I was getting to with that is, it's not performative. It's what it's doing is it's saving a shitload of taxpayer money, and not giving
it's
it to
performative for a lot of people. It's performative for most people.
It's an actual material action that frees up a shitload of money that can go into community resources and not towards private equity-owned firms. That is not some decorated, hippy-dippy, like a symbol politics. That is materially redirecting the city budget of one of the biggest city in America away from private equity-owned firms and towards community resources. That is nothing to laugh at. I mean, that is a serious thing to do, and you're seriously undermining their power, because that's where they get a fuck ton of their money from, is having these government contracts. So someone who gets into government and says, guess what, Sweaty, all your government money is gone, is nothing to shake a stick at. But then I was going to say also, Mamdani did announce, just on the housing thing, a housing program which builds 200,000 rent-stabilized homes, preserves another 200,000.
But still, this is a kind of parasocial, privileged political view.
Drug addicts off the streets.
He does address communal living in his platform as well. And as I said earlier, if a landlord is unserious, the city will perform eminent domain upon that property and either put it into city ownership or into the ownership of the tenants, which would make it a cooperative.
All I'm saying is that in the world of dreams, you will always lose. And so it comes back to you.
We're just 4 dickheads in a Discord, and he is the mayor of New York creating material change. I think it's very rich to sit here and be
I don't want to get too heavy-handed. I don't want to get too heavy-handed,
but the best I've seen.
But Mamdani and New York City for you right now is a thought in your mind.
Yeah.
I live in New York.
It's also a place that people live, like 10 million people live. And these policies affect millions of people's lives. He just froze the rent for over 2.4 million people.
It might not be there anymore. New York might not be there anymore.
Like 3 out of the 5 things he ran on, buddy. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah, he's already done. Yeah, I'm saying that, like, 2.4 million people just got their rent frozen for the next 2 years. That means that they have 2 years of, like, stability in terms of.
But what I've been trying to say is that this kind of, if you play this game, it's just like when you were talking about the Bolsheviks and things like that. If 50 years ago, 100 years ago, me and you and everybody in this Discord could get together with a bunch of muskets or whatever, a bunch of sticks, and we could take over wherever. That doesn't work anymore. And so now, in modern social internet technology, this kind of politics for your side is never actually going to be, my view, right, is never actually going to be successful. Because, not because it couldn't be, but because the underlying social technology or mental technology is not there to solve your problem, and so it's not going to be there to solve other people's problems practically. It's always going to be a band-aid on an unconscious wound that we're not willing to look at and address.
What is your prescription? What is your ideological prescription, and where has it worked? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, I'm a Buddhist. So I follow my ancestors, my teachers, and my lineages.
A Buddhist of what? Okay, yeah, sure. Good for you. You want Buddhism for the world, or what is your prescription? Do you think that we should all live in like a? What is your model of society that you think would be ideal?
Well, I don't think that war is ideal, and I don't think that politics is an ideal, and I think that the current political structure is based on royalty. It's based on feudalism. It's based on hierarchy. And all of that hierarchy, specifically those isms, I really appreciate you, D. Leo, and this whole conversation, because it really brought me back to why I've kind of leaned into social justice so much in the past, and I've kind of leaned more on the right recently because I just haven't been exposed to this dynamic in my life because I spent a lot of time overseas. But there's this call to action from oppressed communities, from marginalized communities, from these communities that there's money owed. It's not money. It's there's time, there's energy, there's attention owed back that hasn't been paid by people that are coming from that kind of psychological ecosphere or hemisphere that you're coming from, Fudge. And that's why progressive stack and things like that can be very useful. But it's a call to action. It's a call to say you and your people and your views and your position is not inherently right. And it brings us back to the land. So all of this political jargon, you know, it's good for some, but it's not good for the people on the ground most of the time right now. And it's not useful for those people.
I'm not talking to those people.
So I don't idealize politics. I don't think that idealizing politics in any manner is going to be useful.
Dude, we live in a political world. We live in a world where money makes the world go round. Sadly, we live in that society. Sadly, we live in that society. You want people to have more connection and more time and more energy. Yeah, pay them more, make them work less, pay them more for that. Good, cool.
Make their rent cheaper, make their public transport more robust, make their trains more high speed.
It's like role-playing. It's like role-playing as royalty. You know, it's like saying make the life for the serfs better, and it's illusory.
Well, no,
I think it's illusory.
It's not. It's saying that working people should have more control in society. They should have more of a say. Their interests should hold a greater precedent than the interests of the oligarch class. In fact, there shouldn't exist an oligarch class.
And this is the importance of religion, right? This is the importance of religion and morality, because this kind of superficial morality,
you're making like
this superficial morality isn't going to work.
Hillary Clinton, like morality first politics argument. Like, I don't think that you can lead with morality, right? I don't think that morality is the driving force. I believe in dialectical materialism. I believe that people's material conditions are the deciding factor that, you know, will lead to the outcomes of there being, you know,
no, that's not true. That's not true, because it's a post-scarcity. We've been in a post-scarcity world for such a long time. And that's the positive. I mean, there's so many different things to talk about here, but we have so much arrogance and pride on our systems that have been built on genocide and oppression and all these isms and all these people that are underneath the house working for $2 an hour.
In this chat is disregarding the genocide of natives in any of their respective countries.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
I don't think that anyone is. I think that that's very much understood background noise that we all agree.
It doesn't work like that, right? It's not. You can't intellectually understand it. It's work that has to be done. That's why we don't just have external racism. We have internalized racism. That's why there's so many people saying I'm not racist.
We do.
Because there's work that needs to be done. So unless you've done all this work on childism, ableism, speciesism, environmentalism, all these isms that allow me to throw my cigarette onto the ground rather than respecting the land and recycling and making use of what we already have. So it doesn't matter how many policies you create like this, because we don't have a mentality to make use of what we already have. It's still a capitalistic mentality. It's still a profit-oriented mentality.
I have a question. Because I'm genuinely curious. I appreciate the conversation. I'm just genuinely curious. Like, do you think that you can? Because I know you're talking about DSA. You're saying, the ideology and politics and stuff, whatever. But like, what is your counter prescription? Is it perhaps, from what I have heard from others, that like there should be a morality-based political movement that says, "Hey, we should be nicer to kids. We should." I'm obviously making a silly example.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, like should we have a morality-first political movement? Because to me, that has never been at the basis of broader socialist movements. Because I can't think. You were talking about history and like, we should learn from. It's like, I am referring to historically successful projects. Again, I live in Sweden. Like, I exist inside of an example of a political and societal project where working people organized. They took power for themselves. They gave the right to vote to women. So that's what I am pointing to something that has happened.
The prescription is that those things that you're describing, were built on genocide, slavery, all these other things. And so the prescription here is that your worldview, your worldview, not you LARPing or parasocially identifying with Mandani, no offense, I want to be Hassan too, that your worldview may be fundamentally flawed and lacking in a integrated morality or holistic morality that's connected to the land.
I agree that it's built on genocide. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying. I don't know.
The thing I don't think you're getting is like we agree with you. We're just saying also focus on the economy.
Yeah, we're saying like in order to
But these are different roles. This is what I'm talking about. Roles have been removed. Roles have been removed just in the same way that third spaces have been removed. Just in the same way that they don't even put benches in public places because they're worried that homeless people will fucking stink on it.
We've got all that stuff in Europe. And we still have genocide and racism and those things exist. Like, I love third spaces. I advocate for them. But, like, those things exist here and we still have problems. Like, again, I don't think it's helpful to say, oh, well, this idea, doesn't account for all the surrounding ideas around it. It's like, I'm not saying it does. And also, like we just said, we agree that these movements were built on, sexism and racism. Certainly early leftist movements, even though they were very far ahead of the curve, and many of them were, anti-sexist and anti-racist. Certainly there were, certainly homophobia in the early social democratic movements in Europe and lots of problems there. No doubt about it. That is acknowledged. That is on the table.
What I'm saying is that this is lacking in a spirituality. It's lacking in wisdom. It's lacking in insight. Truly, I really mean that. I really mean that. I'm not just trying to tell you some hippy-dippy stuff. I really believe that.
No, you are trying to tell us some hippy-dippy... Dude, I don't care about your weird fucking spiritual bullshit.
That's the colonizer. That's the New York colonizer, right? Buddhism is hippy-dippy bullshit.
No, I don't care about Buddhism. I don't care about Christianity.
It's a disagreement about ideology. I think it's fair to say that. I think it's fair to say that someone...
and this is the same. This is the same system. This is the same system, right? Where your ideology,
saying that you're a hippie is not like you being oppressed or
I'm not saying anything like that. That's a red herring. I'm saying that this is the same colonizing mentality where we approach other cultures, other dispositions, and we say, regardless of what that is, it is less than.
I can disagree with someone. I can disagree with you and respect that you can think that.
I would be very fluent about colonization over here. And
that's a very liberal usage of colonization. Look, I'm disagreeing with you. Us personally disagreeing with you and respecting that you have the right to believe what you believe, but saying that's fine that you believe that, I disagree. That's not colonization. It's a very violent and extreme word to summon in this context.
My point is that my point in what I was saying is that I don't care what you believe. You can believe what you believe, but that has no place in this conversation. Is the point. We can't come at this we can't favor any point of view over any other point of view, okay? We're coming at it from a secular point of view, okay? Let's not talk, religion has no place in this conversation at all to me. I don't want to hear about it. Doesn't matter. We're talking about people's lives, we're talking about people working, we're talking about people making money and surviving. That's what we're talking about.
Well, first of all, right? Well, there's a lot of different elements here. There's a lot of subtlety here. First of all, religion is not just a broad term. So religion is American Christianity, which is barely even Christianity, and conflating that with Buddhism, conflating that with something like Buddhism, which you know very little about, is totally inappropriate and is an act, a colonial act to colonize or to oppress or to misrepresent or say inherently less than or inherently invalid or inherently under my understanding because it's over there and it's not right here. The same thing. The same thing that was applied to the Native American people, the same thing that's applied to all kinds of different cultures and all kinds of different communities when you come into it from an outsider's perspective on a position of privilege and say that we don't need to bring that in here because I can assure you I'm secular. What is secular? Why is secular inherently correct? It's not.
I'm on a genuine quest for knowledge. Wait a minute. Isn't Buddhism a religion? Wait, what are we even saying?
Buddhism is a religion.
Buddhism is more of a spirituality than a
spirituality.
Okay, fair. Like that wasn't me intentionally.
There is a religious
Point is, spirituality, religion, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't have a place in this conversation to me whatsoever.
Well, you could say the same thing. You could say
we were talking about religion. I thought we were talking about morality.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about fucking politics.
Well, guess what? When you remove religion from a society like America, you get an immoral society. So you get a society, you get children, you get people that don't value morality.
Right now,
religion is
I'm not here to talk about morals, okay? And
Well, now first we're here to talk about morality. We're not here to talk about religion. Now we're not here to talk about morality. Let's talk about what comes up. Let's talk about what we bring to the table. And instead of attacking each other because something seems like something off or somebody's trying to slip something in, why don't we respect one another to unpack what our positions are? And this is exactly what I was talking about this psychosocial collective technology to communicate deeply and meaningfully about principles and practices, and not just to belabor ourselves on vague terminology, but to go deeper into that terminology.
Let's let Shiny talk. Let's respect each other by listening to one person at a time. No, Shiny, it's all you. I want to give the floor to you. I'm just saying, like, speaking of respect, let's listen to one person at a time.
Oh, I was kind of just making fun of what he was saying. I didn't really.
Well, that's not nice.
No, it's not nice, and that's fine. I just think that getting it gets to the level where.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. So let me say something here. Let me bring something up here. Let me say this here. Shiny just said they didn't have anything to say.
No, can I ask
he just changed his mind.
What do you mean by the psychosocial mental technology? What the fuck does that mean?
Okay, so right now we are in a community. Me and you and you and you are together, and we're trying to converse deeply about our understanding of how to do things in a better way to help people. And to do that, we have to understand each other more deeply and more clearly. So I spent 8 years as a Buddhist monk. My work as an activist, my mental work in supporting people, helping people with their lives and their experiences is very ingrained in the technology. I would call Buddhism a technology. I would call it a system of education. To conflate Christianity with Buddhism is nonsensical and ridiculous. And you can only do that when you come from a place of magic validity that this over there is less than this here just because it's religion or because it's morality or because it's somehow irrelevant. So what I'm saying is that when we're talking about building community spaces and serving people and meeting the people at the lowest stratum of care and the highest stratum of need, there's a lot of different technologies that we need to make use of to help people and to communicate with people. And for example, one of the most modern practical tools, like all modern therapists, just FYI, all modern therapists and all modern psychologists and stuff are telling people to meditate and to be mindful, something that directly comes from Buddhism. Right? So there's a lot of technologies such as for example the lack of belief in personal ownership. The lack of belief in personal ownership that would seem to be at the core of what validates communism and redistributing resources and power for the collective good, for the collective need. Well, it would practically be that way when you have oligarchs and when you have people in power that have massive private wealth that now you want to deconsolidate by saying that you're not allowed to privatize this public resource. Are you following along with me here?
Do you understand the difference between personal and private property?
Do you have somebody you can talk to?
Are you high, Shiny? Are you on drugs, Shiny?
You said recently that you were like more leaning towards the right, or you said that in passing. I'm curious about that.
What you meant by that? Going through something, buddy.
Oh, bless him.
Okay, I need to get some ground phrases because I've heard Can we specify what psychosocial technology means in this case?
Yeah, exactly. That's
In like a few sentences.
I think I've asked that question multiple times, and I've gotten it non-answered every time.
I appreciate it. Just
So-
because, like, I know that religion and spirituality are tools within a culture, but I want to know, because if you're seeing psychosocial technology,
Yeah.
like, if we're being literal, are we discussing, like, telehealth services? Are we talking
I'm going
about,
to tell
like,
you what it's talking about.
devices for health?
Also,
I'm going to tell you
yeah,
what it's about.
You describe Buddhism as a technology. So
Yeah.
what do you mean by technology?
Okay, let's just go to psychosocial mental technology. Let's just
Right.
get that ground.
So it is our collective capacity to share more and more subtle information and details about principles and practices of our mental understanding with one another without becoming aggressive to one another. So, for example, if we believe in the possibility of the subtlety of science or technology or philosophy, then there would be a lot of different ways to view reality, our relationships with one another, that would be more or less subtle, more or less correct, more or less practical. So this psychosocial technology that I'm talking about is our capacity to bring more intensity, to have more intensity brought in to our communal exchanges based on our willingness to work together, to collaborate with one another, to communicate with each other. And this is very important when we move from an individualistic focus to a collective focus, which of course would be the revolutionary focus, where we're now, how are we able not to just talk about things together, but to live together, to problem solve together, to redistribute resources together as a collective, to help individuals and to help each other as a collective through this kind of communal mutual understanding. Because what happens is that we tend to devolve into aggression or resistance or these kind of colonized. So for example, what if the colonizers or the Spanish or whatever came from a very compassionate, curious, contemplative background? So they came to the Americas, they came to wherever, right? They met some friendly guys, they met some negative guys. But instead of switching their fingers and saying, we have to kill all of these people, creating structures of communication, right, to create spaces where we could collaborate rather than push all the Indians into a reservation because they're not the same as us, because they don't think the same as us, because they don't have the same fundamental belief structure that we have, and that's not allowed for us. Yes or no?
So what I'm hearing you describe sounds more like social plasticity.
Well, it's a words. Words have different definitions, you know. But that's a definition, a working definition for that word. But yeah, that's the way you could say it too.
Social plasticity, one's ability to take information, also to engage with situations based off their own knowledge, but also self-new knowledge. And it could be including sharing of one's empathy, sympathy, reception of empathy and sympathy, and learning how to interact with people based off of knowledge or principles with their principles.
Yeah.
That is part of the environmental context versus the internalized individual's ability.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, that's quite good, Leo. Thank you.
That is, we're talking to someone who is, my background is in history, anthropology, and archaeology, as well as religious spiritual studies. So I understand where you're coming from here. However, you're also talking to someone who's native, and my people have killed their colonizers 3 different times.
Hold on, DeLeo.
And we're still being oppressed.
Could I ask you a question, DeLeo? Would you agree?
You may ask your question, Shiny.
Would you agree that like this doesn't matter to the conversation whatsoever?
I want to give merit to both of them. I want to say that right. I want to.
No. I'm glad you guys. I'm not like saying like stop it or whatever the fuck. I'm just saying. Right, like no, yeah. If you guys agree on that and you guys want to talk about that, great for you guys. I'm glad for you guys. I'm glad you guys can find that space. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Here's where I'm going to say,
gonna have their own
because
belief,
if the issue is going to be morality, I know this is taken from Hadestown the musical, but these lines do come out as true.
Sure.
You can have your principles when you've got your belly full, but hunger has a way with you. There's no telling what you're going to do when the chips are down.
Leo.
You can have principles.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is something that's it's a core principle. I just want to share this, a core principle of Buddhism where for the monks, these people that like give up everything, they just have these basic requisites. They have the basic requisites, right? And so as long as we have these basic requisites of housing, shelter, and these other things that also go into it, then we're good to go. And we can work. But if we don't have those things, then even monks can't practice and can't whatever.
What I'm very happy.
I'm very happy for you guys. I'm so happy.
I've been saying, like, we gotta lay down the groundwork, make sure people have their material needs met, or else they're not gonna have the free time and the mental space to engage with these more high-level nuanced.
Yes.
That's what we've been saying. That's the whole thing. Yes.
And that's why we need to have equity.
It's funny to me. I think we all kind of agree here, but we're still like differing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought we were agreeing the whole time, and then it became this kind of morality argument. And I was
Well,
like,
Fudge Pickle. This is where the morality comes in, Fudge Pickle, because if you have a society that's built on, if you have a society,
hang on, Shiny, I'm not learning about morality.
if you have a society that's built on greed, you'll never have enough. And so what sets America up from every other society in the world is that generosity. So like the core principle of morality in Buddhism is generosity. So if you have a society that's built to replace generosity with greed, when is it ever going to be enough? If people are being indoctrinated and trained every single day to be greedy, to worship greed, how is everybody ever going to have enough? And you can't.
Okay, so
I will invoke a phrase that I've heard that I really enjoy.
You want to flip society upside down. Like, how are you going to change it?
In order to create a society that's not based on greed, you need to, destroy capitalism. You need to change out capitalism. It is inherently sort of, I forget what the word is. There's essentially. I am incredibly bilingual in this moment. I can't think of it conjures the worst aspects of humanity. Greed. It rewards the worst aspects of humanity. Greed,
conformity, assimilation,
disregarding people,
hypocrisy.
If you're willing to compromise on your morals, you will get fucking rich and be materially hooked up, and that is very problematic for morality.
So how do we solve that?
Well, I'm about to tell you. Well, not entirely, but I'm about to touch on that. The thing that we said earlier is about, if you give people just a little bit of elbow space to just go, holy shit, let me just breathe out here. You know what I mean? So many people, especially in America, but increasingly so in Europe, are just up against the wall, just fully up against it, and just dealing with so many issues. And you can see the moral decay, if you want to talk about morality, and just the general decay of society. I think the problem with morality is that historically it's very much like a Margaret Thatcher kind of thing about like, oh, well, why can't we all just be nice to each other? And I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying I think that has been used and weaponized oftentimes by the right. Even, you see like the Israeli government weaponizing morality, like, oh, look at the barbaric Palestinians, and stuff like that.
Well, there's two problems in this. One is that it's still coming from this privileged position.
I'm not able to really get to.
It's still coming from this privileged position, first of all.
Hold on, buddy. Let Mr. Fudge Pickle.
I apologize.
You're fine. You're all good. I just wanted to get to the point, which is like, I think that it's a little bit putting the cart before the horse, right? It's like you need to create a society where and again, we talked about equality and disabled people and people who can't work. It's like, obviously that this includes them, a society which uplifts their material conditions as much as possible and creates an even playing field, or at least as even as possible of a playing field for us all to operate on. And again, why do we start studying the stars? Why do we, engage in gender expression and all these different sort of social nuance?
Why is China so much more successful than America? Because it's collectivist. So as much as we approach this from the eye, it's never going to work.
No, and that's what I'm saying is like hierarchies, within society that by existing so, extremely as they do under capitalist society, enforce a notion of certain people being better than other people. Because in society, there are people with way more wealth and power and ownership than other people.
But certain people are better than other people.
Is this? No, they're not. The
what do you mean?
That in society, bro, let me just get a couple things out here.
Somebody has a gun, the other person doesn't. That person's better at shooting a gun. Somebody's stronger, somebody's faster, somebody has more money. This is the illusion of equality. This is the illusion of equality.
The delusion of equality. The delusion of equality.
Yes, the delusion of illusory equality. Based on self, based on I, based on separate individuals. There are no separate individuals. We are a collective. We are in a collective holosphere right now. We are in a collective holosphere right now.
I'm super confused. Are you saying no? Like I agree that that's not the way society is. Or sorry, I agree that that is the way society is. Under the eye of capitalism, under the structure, we are perceived as being more valuable or less valuable. I'm saying that. Like,
but it's not capitalism. It's the self. It's the notion of self. It's the ego.
Yeah, but I'm saying that what creates these social dynamics is capitalism. Capitalism creates these dynamics.
Oh my God, Buddha.
It does, doesn't it? It does, doesn't it? Capitalism does create these dynamics, these modalities, these paradigms, these structures.
It exacerbates them. Yes.
Yes.
We're both anti-capitalist. Is what I'm gathering here.
I'm just trying to convey to you that I'm more anti-capitalist than you. That's all I'm trying to convey to you.
No, I'm more anti-capitalist than you. No. Yeah. I don't care who's more anti-capitalist, bro. You're more radical. You're more Buddhist. You're more anti-capitalist.
Thank you very much.
Your steak is juicier. Your lobster is butterier. Dude, you win. I'm not trying to have a debate. I am trying to have an exchange of ideas here. I'm not trying to radicalize you or whatever it is that's going on here. Yeah, I'm just trying to express what I'm trying to say.
Figure out things in the real world. It's weird.
The real world is the real world of your own mind.
Okay.
I'm gonna get this weird philosophical, spiritual bullshit, right?
The real world is in here, bro.
The real world. Oh, we all live in a world. We all have commonalities.
How do you know New York exists? You haven't been there.
Yeah.
I'm living within my dorm.
You're what?
I'm sorry. I was just repeating the phrase. I'm living with my dorm.
Look.
Friend would know what that means.
Guys, it's like. Hold on, though. I want to make a point. Yeah, it's like bringing feminism to the Congo. I think you said that earlier, and I want to know what you mean by that.
Oh, they got bigger problems than feminism, bud.
Well, you said earlier it's like bringing feminism to the Congo. What does that even mean, buddy?
Well, it's like trying to bring a understanding of quantum mechanics to a group of people talking about.
You're just Are you like a Jordan Peterson chatbot?
I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years, Shiny.
Okay.
Can I ask you my earlier question about you saying that you were kind of leaning towards the right? Like, I don't know what that means. In like an American context, or in which way do you mean?
Well, I just the
Have
whole
you been
kind
listening
of
to Alex Jones?
No, just the whole kind of how the social justice leftist movement just became kind of this bubbling pot for a lot of incongruent nonsense. And
I thought that you were all about social justice, though. Wasn't that what you were saying a minute ago? Is that your focus is on social justice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What the
that is
fuck?
my focus.
No, genuinely.
No, but like
So
this,
then
this
I
big
guess I don't
focus,
understand.
this idea that like helping children is this idea that the moment that they can vocalize, we should ask them if they're a boy or a girl. Like, I just think that's nonsense. That doesn't make any sense.
But wait, do
And
you think that like do you
the
think
same,
that,
the
like,
same idea.
Hold the phone. Now you're doing. Now you're tapping into some anti-trans.
Yeah.
That is very transphobic.
Yeah, that is.
You guys don't think that?
My
What do you?
people, we've allowed children to express their gender as they do.
Yeah, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, you want to
Like,
talk about
and we
fucking
would
Buddhism
respect
and like
that.
fucking like native communities and practices.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
gender is
At
very
this
much.
point,
If you want people to build community, you want them to be able.
Well, no,
to
I'm
be
saying
the person
what
you
I'm
are,
saying
right?
is that children are
You're like,
genderless.
I don't know if New York exists, but I know that one.
Hey
kid
guys,
in
come on,
Georgia
let's
is
calm down. Are we
definitely
here to have a
boy.
discussion or are we here to play games?
We're having a little bit of
What
both.
I-
I think we're having a little bit of fun.
what I'm
We're
saying-
kind of finding out you're a little bit
We're
right
having
winger.
a
Kind of
therapy where we all disagree with you. So make your case.
Well, we obviously disagree with you on what you just said, and that's what's interesting here because I think maybe this
Well,
is
you
an
don't know
opportunity to
why.
actually-
You don't know why I said that. You don't know what my
That's
view
why
about that
I'm
is.
inquisitive. I want to find out.
My
Maybe we
view
can
about
teach you something.
Yeah, no, explain it. Explain it.
I'm
Explain
with-
yourself.
What's going on here? Calm down, everybody.
Nothing.
We're all safe. There's no trans
we are
children
safe.
here,
We're
are
just
there?
making sure you're not like an asshole.
So I don't think that a primary focus or like children's issues in America boil down to, are you a boy or a girl?
Nobody
And-
said that.
Well,
Nobody has
well,
ever said that.
Well, that's what I'm saying right now. I'm saying that that's not a big issue,
Okay, so you
and that
said
the
that. You and no one else has said that.
the hyperfixation on what sexuality
There's
you
no
are or what
fixation.
you're.
There's no fixation.
Who's fixating on? Yeah, you're the one. I've never talked about this to any other person. Like, this is just back. I think how many trans kids are there? Like, it's like 10 in America or whatever. It's like 50 maybe.
I want to say there was
this
just
is
like
such a-
5 new in no wait, that's
Yeah.
5.
Well,
trans kids
what I'm
happening.
really responding to, what I'm really responding
I
to,
don't
and
think I've ever met an actual. I probably sometime in my. I'm almost 30, right? So I probably at some point in time I've been encountered a trans person. I never met anybody that I knowingly known was a trans person until I got on Discord. So okay.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. I've met like
To be
2 trans
honest,
people in real
I
life.
totally forgot one of my friends is trans until she made a dick joke. I'm like, oh shit.
That's fun.
And she's
But,
like, wait,
anyway,
you forgot that I was
nobody's
trans the whole time. I'm like, yeah,
nobody's
I just
focused
thought
on
you
trans
were a woman.
people, except you. You guys are the ones that are focusing.
Yeah,
on
you're the
trans.
only one who's brought this up. No one cares about it. And you were saying earlier how we disregard kids and stuff and how bad that is. You're the one literally talking about how we should disregard kids if they were to spontaneously express like a gender
Yeah,
expression.
they're
that's
like, I want
not
to
in
wear a
alignment
dress.
with-
Let them wear a
Yeah.
fucking dress.
Okay.
So yeah, wear a fucking dress, put some lipstick on, do whatever you want. Just in the same way you want to dress up as a pirate or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? It's like let kids be how they are.
Well, I want to hear what.
Can I take this to a point that was brought up earlier?
Please.
Yeah.
So, do you want to be referred as Dr. Rob or Rob?
Dr. Rob, please. I wasn't a Buddhist monk for 8
Dr.
years
Rob,
for people to
earlier
call
you
me Rob.
mentioned- Yes, I'm an ordained priest in California, and not to undermine you, but for what I can do, similar. Now, back to earlier, you mentioned forcing children to have unwanted interaction with adults, especially when it comes to family members. This is indeed an important point that we all agree children should be able to express autonomy and boundaries. I think the funniest example would be in Archer, I forgot which season, where Abigine was expressing her boundaries. Sure, she used violence, but she was very firm with her boundaries. That's what makes it. Same thing for children if they want to express gender. If they want to express gender, we can recognize, we can be supportive, because what if they're just...
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the children. I'm not talking about trans children. I'm talking about the environment or the society
that's pressuring children to say, are you a boy or a girl? That's insane.
We're talking about trans children.
We are.
That's happening, though,
That
big
is
dog.
literally
That's
what
not
the
happening.
conversation has been.
Nobody. That's
That's not a thing.
You're making
I don't know
that
if
up.
you're around kids or if you have kids in your family or if you have any kids of your own.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of environments you're around. I am around kids. I have kids, young kids in my family, and this is not a thing. I mean, this is just not a thing. And in the schools is not a thing, and like it is just, and just statistically.
Well, yeah, and there's also
trans
not
kids
there's
barely
also not
exist.
people marching around with dildos strapped to their heads with
Okay, that's right. You're anti-pride. Wait, are you anti-pride as well? I thought you said something along those lines earlier. Are you against
Yeah,
pride?
I said that lust is nothing to be prideful about.
Oh shit! This guy is this fucking asshole.
Why are you?
He's a Buddhist. He's a Buddhist, but fuck all the pride parades.
You're a Buddhist.
Did you guys not just hear what I said? I said lust.
Okay, sorry. What did I say?
Lust. Lust is nothing to be
Pride is not
prideful about.
lust. You don't understand pride. Pride parades are not about being
Hold up. Wait, I have to like come in here. Are you a Buddhist? Like, are you see?
I'm a Buddhist teacher. I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years, sir.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, but
You can't say that pride doesn't have lust, that pride isn't oriented, connected to lust.
Wait. Let's hear his question.
Right. My question is like, you okay? Now you just claimed that you were a Buddhist teacher for 8 years, right?
I was a Buddhist
And
monk
according to
for 8
Buddhism-
years, and I am a Buddhist teacher. Was.
Let's
okay.
Yeah, let's let him finish.
Right. See, my question is, if you have been a part of Buddhist teaching for a long time, as a Buddhist, I don't think you should be really triggered by people wearing dildos or people that have a different sexual orientation, because Buddhism is not. I mean, since you're a Buddhist teacher and since I'm a Buddhist, right? I think Buddhism is not. It's beyond sexual orientation. It's beyond. It's all about the enlightenment.
I think that we're
ending
trying
the
to
cycle of
derail.
suffering.
We're trying to derail my simple statement that I made, right? It's like I think you guys can't believe that what I'm saying is what I'm saying, right? So you're trying to make it into something else. I said that lust is nothing to be prideful about. Right, and so then you bring in this red herring. Hold on. You got to give me a little bit of fairness here, a little bit of generosity here, to say that pride parades don't have an orientation or a connection, regardless of being gay, right? That there's not an element of pride and celebration of what we're sexually attracted to and what we sexually desire and our sexual fulfillment and our sexual independence. And what I'm saying is that this is not something to be prideful about, because lust in Buddhism is a hindrance. Lust in Buddhism is not something good.
I'm going to need to see where it is in the Bible without it.
But it's also not for you to impose those beliefs upon others.
I'm not imposing anything. I don't live in America. I'm just saying that I don't think that all that. It's a trap. It's a trap. I'm not trying to trap anybody. I'm trying to bring a different view and a different perspective, sir.
Hinduism, there's a lot of fertility rituals to be involved.
Well, I'm not a Hindu. I'm a Buddhist, and Buddhism is very important.
Buddhism is an extension.
Buddhism is better than Hinduism, okay? It's not an extension of Hinduism.
That means you were able to proceed enlightenment and be removed from the section.
First of all, Buddhism and Hinduism, it's two different things. Okay, so Buddhism is a philosophy, end of the day, and Hinduism is a religion, right? So I don't think as a Buddhist, my personal belief is that, right, there are certain philosophies, right, I believe there are certain philosophies that explore certain things that Buddhism will not explore, right? I do not put Buddhism on I don't put any philosophy on a pedestal at all, because philosophy is philosophy, right? I am mostly, even though I'm a Buddhist, I mean, on paper, I am more into like, Albert Camus's, so what's the name of his philosophy? Absurdism. My personal belief is that life has no meaning, and that I have this other thing where we give meaning to life based on how we live on it, right? So again, this is a big problem I see in especially in the Buddhist communities, where people go on saying, "Oh, Buddhism is like the best thing that has ever existed," and I say, "Whoa, hold on. Buddhism is a philosophy, right? There's no such thing as a philosophy. One philosophy is better than another." Right, because we live in a world which
It
has
wouldn't be
Western
correct.
philosophies.
Let a Buddhist interrupt a Buddhist. It wouldn't be correct to say that it's more correct to call it an education system or a technology, Dinal. Because Buddhism is a practice system, right? It's not a belief system. So there is a philosophy of Buddhism that comes out of or originates from the practice of Buddhism. Or you could say there's a science or a technology of Buddhism that comes from the practice of Buddhism from Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. And then there's a philosophy around that science and technology of Buddhism. And then there's a religion. But conflating Buddhism with Hinduism is inappropriate and irreligious and colonial. And conflating Buddhism with Christianity is also colonial.
Cool.
Are you really gonna say that?
You're gonna tell that to me, a person who's you're gonna tell that to me.
I got my start, Leo, in the Native American church, sweat lodges, peyote meetings. I was a big part of my life, so I appreciate the Native American situation.
Thanks, honey.
So
let's be reductive about
I
that.
dabbled in your thing, then I ascended.
To be non-redactive is to be specific. And when I started to get more specific, when I started to bring up something more specific and more subtle, that's when the attack started. That's when the attack started because it hit a little bit too close to home.
You're not. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I just wanna make something very clear. Okay, I just want to say is that Buddhism is a philosophy and that's it, right?
Yes.
I think the problem with the modern world nowadays is that we have to like rank everything. We have to put everything on a what do you call an S tier list, right?
Yeah.
When the truth of the matter of fact is like there are some things that we can't measure, right?
Yes.
I have a film club, right? And I think one thing that we all agree is that we can't like say that one film is like better than the other because there are so much films out there that we are yet to discover, right? I'm just bringing this for an example.
That's good. That's very true.
But
also dangerous.
I just want to, No, so
and
what
foolish.
I'm trying to bring here is that
I think Dr. Robert. But yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that we can't like in the modern world. I think this is where we really go wrong. Is like we try to put things on pedestal and say that one thing is better than the other when the fact is that there is no such thing in this first place, like to even measure such a thing. So I think that Buddhism is a subject alone in itself.
Well, you've never been that place, Dinal. You've never been that place because you never practiced meditation seriously. That's why you're calling Buddhism a philosophy.
That's a massive assumption.
I'm telling him. I know him. I know this guy. I know what he's talking about.
I don't want to. Person I'm talking to on the internet. I don't want to talk about that with you. No. What? I appreciate you guys having that belief. Good for you guys. If that helps you, good.
Buddhism is based. Buddhism is the based as based can be, baby.
That's great, but sorry, I think Dinal was trying to say something.
Yeah, let Dinal.
Right.
Look, I have also practiced meditation, and yes, it's really good, right? But based on meditation alone, I don't want to put such a subject and say that, oh, because of this experience alone or because of this practice alone, I think Buddhism is the best thing ever. I do not want to say it. That doesn't mean I'm downplaying Buddhism at all, right? It's a philosophy, and I just want to put a full stop over there.
Well, tell that to Fudge Pickle about the DSA. Tell that to Fudge Pickle about the DSA because he won't stop talking about Mandami.
We had a really lovely conversation about DSA Mamdani before you got in here, actually, buddy.
Yeah, actually, yeah. We were like,
probably been like 30 minutes since anybody talked about Mamdani.
Yeah.
But it still applies. What he's if it applies to Buddhism, it applies to the DSA too.
What? No.
What applies?
Organization, I don't think they are.
No, that's definitely not what I'm
saying. DSA is a political organization. Buddhism is a philosophy. So
stop calling Buddhism a philosophy, Dinol TW. Stop calling Buddhism a philosophy. You are not a representative of Buddhism here. I am. Philosophy. It's not a philosophy. It is a system of meditation. Buddhism is a system of meditation, Dinol. Dinol, Buddhism is a system of meditation, isn't it? It's not a philosophy.
It's not just a system of meditation. Hold on. Buddhism is not just a system of meditation. It's a way of life. There's a lot more. Meditation is a part of it.
The insights and the ideas about reality, that Buddhism proposes are specifically built on and originate from principles and practices of meditation. Do you understand that, Dinol TW? The foundation of Buddhism is practices, not philosophical beliefs or ideas or musings or Western think-through, okay? It's not a philosophy. Stop saying, I don't know why you keep saying that, Dinol.
Right.
Because that's how it is. Because
it's there for your mind. What are you from, Sri Lanka?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's from weird of having a Western lens.
Oh my word.
A Western lens? Where's my humdura? Where's my humdura, Dinul? Where's my humdura? Huh? Where's my Terawan Saranai, Dinul? Talking to me about Buddhism. I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years, man. Buddhism is not a philosophy. And that's ridiculous to call it that and to conflate it with Western paradigms and Western ideals. It's out of your mind.
Are you telling me that whoa, okay.
I will complete Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, Hinduism, Judaism. All of them. All the same bucket, buddy.
Oh, it's not in the same bucket.
First of all,
I would see Buddhism is Taoism.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I just the reason why I say Buddhism is a philosophy is that Buddha never told us to like go to the temple every freaking poya day. Do you know what a poya day is, Mr. Rob?
I was a Buddhist monk I was Humdara for 8 years. What you got too much hair in your ears? You got too much hair in your ears, buddy? Do you not hear what I'm saying to you?
Rob, what is it?
I know what you're saying.
Do you have too much hair in your ears? I was a bhikshu. I was a Terawan Saranai. I was a Humdara for 8 years. I lived in Sri Lanka.
Good for you.
So why are you talking like that to me? Why are you being disrespectful like that? Do I know what a Poya Day is?
I'm not being...
Do you know what the 5 precepts are? Do you know what's Sila Samadhi Bhavana Panya? Do you want me to do some Buddhist chanting right now?
Have a normal conversation.
Well, let's have a normal conversation. This is getting very contentious. I feel like Mr. Rob.
The reason why I say Buddhism is a philosophy is because Gautam Buddha didn't force people to do such things like a religion. Like, for example, in Islam, you're supposed to pray 5 times a day, but Buddhism doesn't say you have to do that. If you want to follow Buddhism, great, you can meditate and so on and so forth and let go of all of your what do you call your greed or whatnot or whatever the lust or desires that you have. It's a way of life. It's a way of life.
Okay, Dinol. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that more specifically. You're saying religion versus philosophy. I'm saying that philosophy and religion in this sense are both the same. Just like Western philosophy, absurdism, nihilism, Maybe you fetishize Westernism, Dinol. Maybe you fetishize the English language, Dinol.
I don't.
I said a high-ranking monk from Thailand. He said I would describe Buddhism as an education system, right? Morality, meditation, absorption into meditation, wisdom, compassion. What is this,
Now,
philosophical ideas? Is meditating a philosophy?
Is an education system. She
Leo's
thinks
dying.
Christianity is an
I
education system.
I'm over here looking at this as like, okay, this is all
I don't know
interesting.
what this has become.
But at this point, the conversation is an impasse.
I feel like
am happy
we're
to
kind of
see
getting off the rails of like just keep discovering that this person
Buddhism
is
on
like
Buddhism crimes, and I'm like, I'm sorry, is this privilege?
we're like having like a debate about like, oh, I'm a Buddhist, I've met a high-ranking monk, and you don't know what Buddhism is and whatever. It is a very childish and stupid.
Ha! That was childism. That was childism. That was childism. D. Leo, you're gonna have to accept that too. That was childism. That was childism. That was childism, D. Leo. That was 100% pure, raw childism. And he was waiting to get that out. He was waiting to get that out, D. Leo. That one you're not going to be able to brush under the rug, are you?
Okay. I've saved my mental coil.
Hold on. What is the implication you're making?
I called him
But
childish,
he just used a racist remark, a childist remark to describe a lower level of person and a frivolous person. This is the same thing that got me banned from the Hasanabi Discord server because I started talking about childism and I said, what if you said that about a black man?
Discord, and now he's sad.
No, I'm messing with you. You're a bigot? I never could see you that way.
He's a child bigot. He's a child bigot.
He's a child bigot?
Yes.
I called him childish. I apologize for calling you childish. I did not.
I recommend you're serious about this stuff. You're serious about the DSA, Fudge Pickle. I recommend you look up what childism is. I recommend you read a book, man.
A copy of the Tao Te Ching from my shelf.
That sounds
and
good.
I'm going to turn to a page, and I'm going to meditate on it. Well, not that I'm going to meditate. I'm going to be mindful about it because mindfulness is also an amazing thing that helps society.
Yeah.
Let me go get my copy.
I like you, DeLeo. I like you, Fudge Pickle.
Thank you, Shiny. I like you too, man. I like you too, man. Thank you.
Everybody else here, I don't know how I feel about you.
Yeah. Reverend Avi and Dino, I don't know how I feel about them at all.
I'm sorry for like jumping in. Yeah,
No, not at all. But I just feel like we just low-key didn't really come to like a conclusion about like the straight up transphobic.
Because Buddhism is the answer. Oh, how about the strain of childish rhetoric? How about you calling somebody childish, Fudge Pickle? How about you calling somebody childish, Fudge Pickle?
Actually, from most of my experience living with and studying multiple South Asian religions, Buddhism and like Taoism are like the most chill folks regarding like sexuality.
Yeah. We don't need a religion. We can get through this other
Just
way.
smoke weed, everybody. Just smoke weed and be trans if you want to. We don't need religion.
Living civilization in North
People can do
America.
whatever they want to do. Just smoke weed, guys.
Same-sex relationships and marriage, a thing. Even in the United States said no, and we didn't let heteronormativity interfere with that.
So bringing Buddhism to America and bringing Buddhism to the DSA. Bringing Buddhism to the DSA.
Good for me. I am great on that front. Do I let my religious principles along that front guide me for how I believe society should be?
You're a silly person. I think you don't belong here.
Yeah, straight up like transphobic, LGBT comments. I don't know if that's necessarily in line with this Discord, but I don't know. I feel like we have a productive conversation about it until it devolved into what it devolved into.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Here, I found a perfect passage. Number 20 from the
Tell me in what way I'm transphobic. Tell me in what way I'm transphobic. You tell me
Recognize
that.
the male, but hold on to the female.
We were discussing
and
that.
Be the world's being the world's maid. Don't lose your immortal virtue. Not losing your mortal virtue. Be a newborn child again. Recognize the pure, but hold on to the base, and be the world's valley, being the world's valley. Be filled with immortal virtue, being filled with immortal virtue. Be a block of wood again. Recognize the white, but hold on to the black, and be the world's guide.
Buddhism is better than Taoism. You should get Buddhist books. You should get a Buddhist book.
Moral virtue. Be without limits again.
Oh, religion
Want the village
sucks.
to be split to
You
the
don't know what you're talking
stages
about,
to make
buddy.
their chief official. A master tailor doesn't
No, you don't. I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years, man. I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years. Well, you might not care. You might not care, and you might care about me, but I'll still stand up and I'll stand in front of you and I'll do what I can to support you.
Yeah, that's down the chain to that.
All right. Well, that was yeah.
And you've got a big head on your shoulders to call me transphobic after you're using childish, calling people childish. Oh, childism's not allowed, right? Childism's not allowed. Oh yeah, I'm accusing you. I'm saying that you are a childish. You're a child dominator.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty pro-trans entry.
I'm a very pro-trans person. I'm probably more pro-trans than this privileged little Swedish DSA worshiper.
DSA worshiper, Swedish DSA worshiper.
Yes, the Swedish DSA will bring the revolution to Northern Europe. I don't know what this beef came from, but I wish not to have any beef. I feel like we were having like a very productive conversation, and then we stumbled into things that we disagreed about, and we were talking about them, and then it turned into a yelling fest, and I just don't know how we got there.
Well, let's refresh and restart and find a ground of conversation that's meaningful and specific and subtle.
People on extra things, not to be split until
hold on,
because that's kind of at the basis of what we were saying in the beginning of this conversation, which is that the left is like infinitely infighting and engaging in sectarianism, and that's kind of what exactly a microcosm of what just happened right here.
So Leo, are you at work?
No, I'm at home. It's a federal holiday. My work is closed.
Yes, it is the 4th of July.
That's how I was able to pull a copy of the Tao Te Ching off my shelf, which I actually I recommend the Red Pine translation because it has multiple commentary on the Tao Te Ching for over 2,000 years. Pretty good translation. Yeah.
I think I get paid. I think I got paid.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Dino, I want to talk to Dino. I want to talk to this Dino guy.
Volunteer.
Okay, I'm here. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
I want to know if you have any questions.
Okay.
I have some book recommendations for you, DeLeo. I have some author recommendations for you, DeLeo. Some translator recommendations.
Wow, my ears are like chill.
Wow, you're
dismal.
You're off the wall, buddy.
Dismal. What is your question for me, Dismal? Somebody who knows a lot more about Buddhism than you do.
You got it in the pocket, you know.
I have no questions for you. Do you have questions for me? I think you wanted to talk to me, right?
Well, I just couldn't understand how a Sri Lankan man would ask.
A conference that's secretly.
Hold on. Can you let Rob speak? Sorry. Could you repeat that? Rob?
Dino, I just wanted to ask what kind of self-respecting Buddhist Sri Lankan man asks somebody who spent 8 years as a Hamdara, 8 years as a monk in Sri Lanka, in Burma, in India, in Myanmar, in Thailand, if he knows what Poya Day is. Where do you get off doing something like that?
See, my thing is where this whole conversation started was, I think one was you were mentioning about the whole lust thing in Pride rallies, right? You said that, I don't like when people have dildos attached on their head and they're running around, and then you mentioned that you're a Buddhist monk for 8 years. And my question is, if you're a Buddhist and if you have been a part of his teachings for like 8 years,
well, I wanted to answer you about that.
Something like that trigger you.
Dimo, I wanted to answer you about that.
Yeah.
You believing that
something
you
like
believe.
that-
Hold on. I want to tell you about this. I want to speak a little alhamdulillah to you if you don't mind. Do you mind? A little bit of Tarawan
Okay.
Saranai for you.
Yeah.
The idea of me being triggered is wrong view, is self view, first of all. Second of all, because you don't have right view, right? Second of all, is that you couldn't know if I was triggered or not. Just because I said that, or I looked that way, or acted that way, it wouldn't mean that you know that I was triggered about that or not.
What? No, you.
Both of those principles, the relative and the absolute. So relatively, you wouldn't know if I was actually triggered or not. And absolutely, it's not right view. So it's not something you should rely on anyway. It's a view of a self. It's a view of a true someone who could be triggered, which is impossible in the absolute. And in the relative, just because I was appearing that way doesn't mean that I'm actually triggered. Just because a monk appears to be a good monk doesn't mean that he's actually a good monk. Yes? Can I get a hamdulillah? Can I get a Tarawan Saranai Dinol? Or are we being disingenuous today?
I don't think I can say I mean, I could say Terawan Saranai if that's what you
Sadhu. Okay.
But
I got your bracelet. I'm going to put
the
your
thing
bracelet
is-
in the mail. I'm going to put your bracelet in the mail. How you like that?
I have no issues. I have no issues. But see, the thing is that the way you said it, it's the vibe that I picked off, that I felt that you got triggered is why.
Right, yeah.
When you were giving your backstories, that's why I asked, like.
Right.
'cause
No,
I
of
want to
course.
know what really triggered you.
Yes. But I answered you about that. I answered you with the Dharma, right?
Yeah.
But I have to meet people where they are. I have to follow them to where they are, because they're not going to come to me because it's going to get too deep. It's going to be too off topic. It's going to be too subtle. It's going to be too profound.
Okay.
So it just goes in line with that.
So I think since you've been in Sri Lanka, you know that Sri Lanka is a homophobic country, right?
Oh, I know. It's not a Buddhist country in the way that Myanmar or Thailand are. I was very disappointed when I came to Sri Lanka. I was very disappointed.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, for me, I have seen these pride rallies going around, but I'm not really triggered though.
Who says I'm triggered? I can say, listen, from a perspective of Buddhism, okay, from the perspective of a Buddhist teacher and a community leader, I can say, and I'm literally saying that without trying to imply something else, that lust is not something to be prideful about, that lust is dangerous, that lust is not good, and it's a hindrance, and it's something that we should not celebrate. We celebrate who we're sexually attracted to. That's not worthy of celebration.
Well, that's your opinion. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying that. But you implied that I was trying to put off some other narrative or some right-wing narrative about it when that was never the case.
No. If I ask, then I'll know the answer. So let me just ask: So that's what you feel is fine. You don't want to celebrate your lust. That's no problem. You don't have. Do whatever you want. Right? To each their own. But do you think that it is? Do you actively advocate against the celebration of what you perceive to be other people's lust? You believe that pride to some degree celebrates lust. Do you then, believe that should not exist, or that people should not engage in that? Or do you just say, that's fine, I'm doing my thing, they can do their thing? Or would you, given the opportunity, in some way impose that onto others and restrict the celebration because you find it not to be in view with your own beliefs? And so
this is a fantasy world. I would talk to people about it. I would communicate about it. I don't need to control. I don't need to control. Okay, there's a fantasy pride parade going on, and there's a fantasy version of me that has control over that pride parade. So both of those are not true. If I were to be at a pride parade, I'm sure I would enjoy it a lot and maybe have some conversations with people. But for example, and goes into that, I watch a video of this lady's name, the horrible lady, Blair White. We all hate Blair White, all right? We all hate Blair White. But she was going around, she was asking some questions, triggering, challenging questions or whatever. Not challenging, but you know what she was trying to do. And the answers that people give, they don't come from a place of depth. They don't come from a place of contemplation. They come from a place of a hyper superficial, materialist, individualistic identity that has barely any contemplation to it. And it's very easy to see that. And it's similar to when you go to the right-wing parades and people, you ask them questions and they just give you some superfluous answer. So this is a problem in our culture. It's a problem in our collective mindset where we don't look deeply at anything. And it's not about the right or the left.
This is my question.
How many genders are there? There's infinite genders. And no, they're not trying to do something. They're not leaning onto a principle. They just don't know. And that's what they think is, there's infinite genders. How many genders are there? There are no genders. I'm non-binary, sir. I'm non-binary, sir. So you should be careful who you talk to about that kind of stuff. And stop assuming from your position of privilege, your white privilege, Swedish man, DSA man, that everything just goes along with your expectations. I'm non-binary.
I respect that. I will use your preferred pronouns. I didn't know that, and now I do. So that I have no issue with that. This weird thing that like that's some kind of gotcha or whatever. I mean, and I do have privilege. I mean, yes, I do. I don't pretend or pose otherwise. My question is like, if you believe these things, okay, that's your belief. Would you just compared a Pride rally to a Trump rally, which I think is interesting. But would you,
Well, I was more specific than that. I was very, very specific in what I said. I was very specific in what I said. Let me just
formulate a question here. Let me just formulate my question here. You were saying this earlier about all the moralizing stuff. What is your prescription? What do you want to do about it? Because you're saying, oh, well, people are morally giving these. What is your idea? You know what I mean? Because we can talk about morality until the cows come home. I don't really care about talking about different moral opinions and beliefs. I mean, that's fine. It gives me an insight into the person. I don't know you, and I'm not trying to get to know you on a deep level. I'm trying to have conversations about ideas, not about individuals. What is your idea?
You are capitalism. Just like I'm not here to talk to individuals. I'm here to talk about ideas. Just like corporations have free speech, right? Corporations are people. Thoughts are people. Thoughts are not people. And you are privileged, man, and you are part of the problem, man.
Look, you can sit there and you can point at me and call me privileged all you like, and I will not disagree with you. I am privileged. I mean, I don't know. You can say it again. You can say it three more times.
The solution for me is to practice morality and to deepen my own mind so that I can share out in subtle ways these principles and practices.
Rob, like, what's your ideal Pride rally? How would it look like? Okay, let's say you didn't like the whole dildos thing. Like, what would you like?
It would be It would be a Buddhist Pride rally where lust was seen as a hindrance. You can wear a shirt that says I'm gay, but you don't need to put a dildo on your head.
So in your ideal society, everyone is a Buddhist? Everyone conforms to the exact same...
Of course. No. Dinal, do you know this? In my ideal society, everyone in my idea of a society, everyone is an Arya. In my ideal society, everybody is an Arya. That means they're either a Sotapanna, a Sakyagami, an Anagami, or Lord Bless, an Arahat. You guys don't know about this stuff. There is technology. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't.
Well, let Leo explain.
Hi. So the United States, we lost our rights to practice our religion for almost a century, from 1882 to 1978. It wasn't until then. And then we had to have multiple laws in place federally for us to access our traditional land for religious purpose as well as to get materials for religious purpose. So you're going on this with like everyone has to abide. There's a point when self, you bring it to the self, and that's your journey for enlightenment. That is your journey to get out of the cycle. That is for you, and we appreciate the works that you've done for yourself. But if you're feeling that lust is the whole issue, there are pride events that can cater to what you have. And there are events such as like going to a coffee house and having that such boundary versus you're going to go to the Eagle and see someone getting their shoes clean by someone who has a shoe fetish.
This is degeneracy. This is not healthy.
Yeah.
This stuff is not healthy. And it's not something that we should just say, we all have fetishes and come on, we ain't hurting anybody, baby. We shouldn't just do that. That's not a good way to do things. It's not a good way to do things.
They kill us. They imprison us.
Well, I don't support that. I don't want to hurt anybody. I certainly won't hurt you, and I certainly don't want to support those people. But I'm just saying that this free reign on fetishes is not really a good thing.
That will be for you, and that is your connection to your dharma as you go on with life. I understand.
But if we are in a community
that balance for themselves to get enlightenment, but at the same time, it is their choice to partake in that route.
They have a choice, but sometimes we make wrong choices, and the more that we can inform each other. The more that we can inform each other from the deep place of enlightenment and awakening, then we can create better societies and better systems and better modalities.
And we already have our own things without the mindset of a colonizer oppression. We already have our own systems. They were oppressed. They were silenced. And they were called immoral. We've had our languages.
Do you really think that there were Native Americans with shoe fetishes? Do you really think there were Native Americans with shoe fetishes? Is that what you believe? Is that what you believe being a Native American is about, is having a shoe fetish?
Different kinds of fetishes. Certainly they must have.
Shoe fetishes, honey.
Yeah, certainly.
That the Cherokees had a shoe fetish? Is that what you believe?
I'm going to make it really beautiful. So that way, when I go to ritual, it's part of my regalia. We have rituals called the Boogerman Mask that do help with overcoming, and this is particularly from the chair here at Salagi, it helps with overcoming trauma that may include sexual trauma, could include rape, could include sexual harassment, it could include the fear of illnesses, it could include political violence.
Yes.
And it's a whole ritual that is a communal way of catharsis and healing as it helps people process the trauma.
Yes.
And you will design masks that do have lips that look like a vulva. You may have noses that look like dicks. It's part of it. You make the mask based off your personal experiences that you wish to overcome. And that comes with choice.
Well, good for them. I'm not saying that's wrong.
To address.
I'm not saying that's wrong, but that there are more or less skillful ways to be wise and compassionate, to help one another, and to do these healing modalities.
These rituals. It's very much what the Christians do. It's very much what the colonizers do. And all the laws, the Indian offenses, that stemmed from white Christian Americans who were afraid that us Native folk were taking charge of our own autonomy, especially as a reaction to the rise of the ghost dances, which put in the mindset that Native folk who've been wronged. By the point of 1882, you already had the Plains Wars. You already had the 30s, you've had Jackson, who moved and forcible removal of 5 major Native nations. You've already had multiple different colonizers. My family slaughtered Franciscan monks in the Pueblo Revolt of 1680 because they imprisoned us. They told us that we should not practice our religion. They destroyed our sacred spaces. They have told us not to farm this way. They have stolen. They have taken. They've imprisoned. And we have a rightful destroy multiple churches and expel them from our lands because they're doing what you have been recommending, evangelizing and then leading to force about it.
An eye for an eye leaves everyone blind. An eye for an eye leaves everyone blind.
Their way of doing it. So, if you've been complaining about colonialism and colonizer shit, take it to another native who listened to you. Because we've been worried about our children and how they are going into missing, murdered systems. And they have the boarding schools, the residential schools, forcing us to learn about Christian morality as if it's going to save everyone. And then we are pushed into a world where we are punished and tortured. Talk to the Mormons who kidnap children and say, oh, you've been wrong your whole life. You've been suffering your whole life. You are having that same mentality.
Well, there's things we got to move on from because a lot of that work was already done. I mean, that work was done.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I am involved with these systems of recovery. So are you sure? Are you sure us Native folks are going to get our land back? Are you sure that we're going to have rematriation? Are you sure we're going to be able to fully recover? I live in a post-apocalyptic state of the very lands that we're in. And for me and my family, we were forcibly expelled from our own lands too. And the 1950s attempt at extermination policy. And now we have things like murder missing Indigenous women, or MMIP for murdering missing Indigenous people. And that is a way for us to also recognize that Native men are at the highest rate of getting sexual assault by men. 1 in 5 Native men experience sexual assault throughout their life. And we make sure that Native men are also being treated in the holistic approach to having, how do we address this issue? Because we recognize if cishet men do not address how they were sexually assaulted in life, it's one of the major barriers that they will not be able to partake in. They will not be able to help in the communal healing step because they've also been wronged. We can also address it, but they need to be open and access like, hey, we've been wrong and we want to be part of a greater solution.
That's what I'm saying.
So don't come with me with the whole religion.
Well, that's what I'm here
trying
saying.
to say that Buddhism, no. And again, it's a very individual experience. You uphold yourself to it. You can choose to go to Pride, and there's various levels of Pride. We're like, okay, we want to do a communal space for Pride. That is like, we want to make sure that children have the education about it. There's that too. And then like, don't go to San Francisco at the middle of night during Pride because that's when all the stuff happens.
Well, but you saw when I said something about that, then this fudge pickle Swedish character, he says, what are you talking about? There's nothing to do with lust and pride, which was a total false flag.
And here's the thing. Although lust is a principle for a Buddhist monk to observe for themselves, yes, it is a principle that is argued that it is not going to, if you partake in lust, that is lust. That is excessive amount of sex. Not homosexuality, not being not transgender.
That's right.
Because it's the excess. There's, and you know as much as I know, there's positive, neutral, and negative.
There's plenty of gay sexual excess, isn't there? You and me know that better than most people.
Same thing for the straights. That's why the term heterosexuality was invented originally for nymphos and electros. Yeah.
Wait, did we just establish that there's no lust and pride then? Because you're saying that lust
Are you
is
out
excess.
of your mind, you little Swedish DSA Mandani guy? You are privileged and you are not on the ground in America. You don't understand what we're talking about. Let's go back to the Sri Lankan guy. Let's go back to somebody who wasn't born with a silver spoon up his ass, Phil
No, wait,
Pickle.
Leo, what did Leo say? Sorry, what did you say?
You are my favorite Lindenberry. You are my favorite Swedish fish. I love you.
Thank you, sir. And same to you.
Platonically.
Yes, yes, indeed.
I would
Yes, indeed.
proudly say I made a new Swedish friend. So yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I was asking out of curiosity. That was what I gathered. Perhaps I am not intellectually sufficiently
Let's move on. You're
equipped.
certainly not. You're certainly not intellectually equipped to match me in the foray of ideas, but I'm not holding
right.
that against
Your
you, am
intellectual
I?
prowess
I'm not holding
is,
that against you, am I?
Your intellectual prowess is certainly staggering, and it's giving me intellectual inferiority
You sound like
complexes
a
here.
old friend of mine who's was a Nordic guy.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm from. But can I get an answer to my question?
No, just stop being hyperbolic and superficial and sycophantic. Move on.
You freaked out.
Move
No,
on. I'm gonna freak out again if you keep implying that I'm not heterosexual.
Wait, that's not what I implied. I was just asking if the consensus. No, that's definitely not what we said. I never implied that at any point.
No.
I am not interested in inquisiting about any of that type of personal information about you. But pop off. I was just asking if the consensus of that conversation was that pride involves lust.
Yeah, it does. So
Because-
what? They're right.
Wait,
That's
I
what
thought
they're
Leo
allowed
just
to
said
do
that.
that. They're
I thought
allowed
Leo
to do
just
that.
said that-
Because you don't hear
thought Leo
clearly, because your little brain jumps around from thing to
Yes,
thing,
yes,
and
yes.
you're not
I
able
was-
to
yes,
keep up with the
that's
conversation, buddy.
completely right.
That
That's-
is
no, you're
precisely
totally right.
what we landed on. That
I'm
it does
super
involve
sorry for
that,
my
but we
super
create.
bad- my
But
bad
it's
brain
not
is-
my business to control what they're doing, okay? And if you're
No, it's
around
not,
at
it's not.
Pride at night, you better watch out. That's what Leo said.
Yeah.
And don't go
You're
around
right,
there
you're
because
right.
you're gonna find out how much lust is at Pride. How you like them apples,
You're
Fudge
right.
Pickle? So you watch your mouth, Fudge Pickle. Stop trying to play little parabolic games with
That
me.
sounds like I'm at a Southern Baptist church for Buddhists.
I'm so sorry, dear, like go through this because I think what DeLeo was trying to tell about the whole Pride rallies is that because the LGBT community has been suppressed for so long and there's been not enough platforms to express themselves.
We've been lynched. Oh, I'm gonna be making a item to go on the altar of a man who was lynched, a native man who was lynched because of him being gay. We've been lynched. That's part of why we have time.
And actually, DeLeo, it's something also quite that happens in Sri Lanka also. Systemically, we bully such people, unfortunately, right? But the same. It's always on. I think lust, as you said, DeLeo, is that excessiveness that we have. I think greed is also the same thing. That's also excessive. Excessive wants of like filling up this whatever needs we have, whether it's money or food or sexual greed is also a thing. But like you said, I think DeLeo kind of nicely expressed that, about pride rallies and so on and so forth. But I think as a Buddhist, I don't think because lust is, as our former Buddhist monk here said, that it's something that's an issue in Buddhism. I don't think we should be triggered by such things as lust.
Dino, you really don't get it, do you, Dino? You really don't get it. Do you know Jetavana Monastery? You don't get it, Dino, and I'm really surprised by how much. How old are you, young man? How old are you?
I'm 27.
Repeating the same old things over and over again. Repeating the same old little lies and tricks over and over again.
I don't think you should.
Why did you ask somebody who said they were a Buddhist monk for 8 years what Poya Day was? Why did you ask me what Poya, if I knew what Poya Day was, Dimol? Why did you ask me if I knew what Poya Day was, Dimol?
Okay.
Dr. Rob,
no, I think as a Buddhist, since we are bringing that subject up again, I don't think you should be triggered by lust or greed or anything at all, even though it's right at your face. Because even Buddha, right, used to deal with differently, throughout his story and throughout his journey into Buddhism, I think he dealt with several people that had such issues.
Dino, I'm coming to Sri Lanka, buddy. Where are you at? You in Colombo? Where are you at? I'm gonna come to Sri Lanka.
I'm at Colombo.
spiritual human being.
All right, let's go. Send me an invite. Let's go live, buddy. You little scaredy cat. You little scaredy cat today. Oh no, Dr. Rob is a fireman. I'm just scared, Dr. Rob. Oh no, I'm a scary Dr. Rob. Aren't you, Rob?
Minding my business, you know.
I think bro disappeared. Oh, he's back.
I'm here. I apologize. I just have a connection with Sri Lankans and.
No, so the thing for me, ideally, an ideal society for me is that people have the freedom to explore or read different philosophies or religions without being judged and being pushed at and saying that, oh, you should read Buddhism because it's one of the best philosophies out there. No. You want to learn Buddhism? Okay, fine. I got some books on that. You can check it out.
Denol, I'm making an impact. I'm making an impact so that next time they're in the throes of lust, they'll think about it. They'll deep inside the mind. You can't just sit around and talk about things. Nobody does things that way. They don't want to talk about things like that. You have to take an energetic form, take an archetype, take a Jungian archetype, and you go into it. I do a work, it's called Denol. This is funny. It's called Non-Dual Buddhist Absurdist Avant-Garde Performance Art. Non-dual Buddhist performance. Yeah. How you like that, Denol? And I'm coming to Sri Lanka, buddy. I want to send you a message. I'm coming to take a look at you in Sri Lanka.
He's coming for you, bro. You better
I want to know what Humdura's you've been kissing there. Whose Humdura's feet you've been washing, Denol?
Jesus Christ. All right, well, this conversation's getting a little bit.
Yeah, a bit personal. I know, right? Sheesh. I mean, I just said because I said that I'm sort of interested in absurdism. It doesn't mean that I put Buddhism as a philosophy saying it's lower above than anything else. I just want to say that because it seems to me that
these people are very tricky. These Buddhist people are very tricky.
Oh, really?
These people.
Yeah, the Buddhist people are tricky and sneaky.
Tricky? I'm not tricky. I'm honest, to be honest.
Well, I am tricky and sneaky, and I'm the Buddhist person here. I'm the most Buddhist person here, Denol. I'm a lot more Buddhist than you.
Wow. That's also ego, right? Isn't that also
if it's true, it's not ego. If it's true, it's not ego, is it, Denol?
Oh my God. Wow.
Are you a Sotapanna? Are you a Sotapanna, Denol? Are you a Sotapanna? You have Sotapati? Sotapanna?
First of all, I am a Buddhist, right? And I just want to say this, okay? I don't go around with other Buddhists saying that, I visit the temple every 5 to 6 days more than you, and that makes me a better Buddhist than you. I don't think
I was a Buddhist monk for 8 years, Denol. Why do you keep minimizing my life as a Hamdullah? Why do you keep minimizing my sacrifice? Why do you keep minimizing my sacrifice?
My problem is that you keep on bringing up that point. I was a monk for 8 years. Good for you. I'm happy you were a monk for 8 years. But that doesn't make you a better Buddhist than anyone else in this room, or better Buddhist than anyone else out there. You got some Buddhism teachings for 8 years. Good for you.
I'm a Buddhist teacher. I'm a Buddhist teacher. You're not, okay? You're a Buddhist thinker. I'm a Buddhist teacher.
That's good for you.
That's great, dude.
Good for you.
Awesome.
That's great. But that doesn't make you better than me, or that doesn't mean I'm better than you either.
Okay, I want to express my gratitude. I've got to go, guys. I want to express my gratitude. I apologize. This is a little bit of performance art, a little bit of energy. I really appreciated all of you and sharing with you guys, and I hope you can forgive me. I'm very sincere, and you awakened something. You remembered something in me, and I really appreciate it, and I apologize very deeply. And Denol, I will come to Sri Lanka, so keep your eyes open. See you later. I really like the Sri Lankan guy. Sri Lankan people. Very great.